Smash an avocado for a piece of toast.
Or the people, what would that, the people
I think smashing the gangs is a deterrent. Well, it might be if you smashed any, if you found any.
The people smash, the smash.
And he hasn't smashed anything. I mean, literally all he does is he smashes records every sort of couple of weeks, where more and more people come in a period of 24 hours.
Smash the gangs that are running this vile trade.
You're never going to smash the gangs. That's something that basically is impossible. The gangs are like the Hydra. You cut the head off and another two grow.
So I did write to ministers and say that I wasn't convinced that smashing the gangs was the right sort of way of thinking about things.
We will smash the gangs that undermine our security.
Keir Starmer has just tweeted 15 minutes ago. He says, "I know you're angry about immigration. I get it. We will smash the people smuggling gangs at source." Maybe I'll just read it all in his accent, shall I?
There is no return to freedom of movement. We have left the EU. I do not accept that prevents us working with other police units here, with prosecutors here, to smash the gangs.
Well, I'm sure the smuggling gangs are absolutely quaking in their boots now. Keir Starmer's on their case. Solving this issue, smashing the gangs, is that the impossible dream, Tom?
It really seems beyond him at the minute, I have to say.
We're going to get the evil people smugglers and we're going to smash them and we're going to put them in jail. That will solve the migrant crisis. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's promise to smash the gangs has resulted in just 5 convictions. Hurrah for operating small boats.
So what he really wants to say is that this policy of smashing the gangs is a total and utter disaster. There isn't a cat in hell's chance that it's going to work.
It's crap. It's crap. That's what he's basically saying.
I know you're angry about immigration. I get it. Mark my words, I will take back control of our borders. That means cutting migration, ending the use of asylum hotels and ramping up our efforts to stop small boat crossings.
It's like a parallel universe, the real world, as told by the impressive David Bolt, and Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' fantasy world.
We will smash the people smuggling gangs at source.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good evening. It is Petrie here with you for the next 3 hours, taking you all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning. And coming up at midnight is the phone-in, and I'm really fascinated by this report that suggests that all of you who live outside of towns and cities are indeed racist, that the countryside itself is racist. Many minority ethnic people feel that the British countryside is an unwelcoming and unsafe place to visit. Widespread denial that racism exists or that it is significant in rural contexts. That's the conclusion. So this is suggesting, I mean, more than suggesting, it is telling us that British rural places are inherently racist. Are they? Are they? I'd love to know. I mean, I've lived in London, since I was 18, so that's probably 100 years now, 18, 19 years old. So I can't imagine living anywhere else. I love this city. It's not the hellhole that is constantly being reported. It's a fantastic place, and I love it. I did spend 1 year living in Monmouth in South Wales, which is a beautiful part of South Wales. And I was only there for a year and left. It didn't suit me. It wasn't right for me, although it was a beautiful place. And as I always say, I love the Welsh. But is the countryside racist? So I need to hear from those of you who live outside of towns and cities, or maybe just outside of cities. Do you think it's racist? If you are a person of colour, do you feel unwelcome in the countryside? I'd love to hear your voices as well, and why it is that you think that it is inherently racist. Lots of statistics with this story pointing out that the research highlighted overt and subtle hostility, including instances of persistent staring and hostile body language. Isn't that in the eye of the beholder? Anyway, as well as more explicit incidents such as name calling, racial slurs, intimidation and threats. The experiences inflicted deep emotional, psychological and sometimes physical wounds which eroded people's sense of safety, identity and belonging. I mean, it sounds like you're out in the countryside, sort of, I don't know, I don't want to draw any parallels with historical racism, but you know, have you got a pitchfork? I mean, do you rampage through cities with through your village with pitchforks, getting rid of anybody with colour? Because that's what it sounds like. So that's what I want to talk about at midnight. I find it very very difficult to believe. I was born and brought up in the countryside. I mean, I wouldn't know, would I, because I'm white. So I'm going to rely on you to tell me whether you think that the countryside, that rural Britain is racist. And if you are, like I said, a person of colour, do you feel excluded from the countryside? Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. You can message me as well, send a text to 87222, but put the word talk up front, and that comes through to me here in the studio. The rest of the evening we have, hopefully we have Kevin Schofield, sorry, not O'Sullivan, Kevin Schofield in the studio at 11 o'clock going through the newspapers. I say hopefully because I just bumped into him at a party on the 17th floor. So he will be here, I hope. So Kevin Schofield will be here going through the newspapers. Johnny Hearn is here, our filmmaker, broadcaster and talk film reporter, going through some movies for you to watch. And Josh Rom, entertainment reporter and The Sun newspaper contributor. He will be here with some fantastic exclusive voices for you, Benedict Cumberbatch being one of them. So that is all to come. But first, the leaders of Russia, Serbia, Pakistan and Cuba are amongst 25 heads of state meeting Chinese President Xi in Beijing this week. You will have seen the images, you will have heard about this access of upheaval, as it is being described, meeting. President Vladimir Putin described President Xi as a dear friend as he agreed to increase gas supplies to China, which actually, looking at the numbers, doesn't make up for the loss of the European gas supply sales, but still it's something. While Russians will get visa-free travel. North Korea's Kim Jong-un also arrived in China on his train, just as his father did in the 70s, ahead of the country's largest ever military parade, which takes place tomorrow, which will mark the 80th anniversary of the formal surrender of the Japanese at the end of World War II. This is a fascinating meeting. The people who are there, what they're talking about, and the description of basically saying that global governance has reached a crossroads, that there is going to be a new world order. Is this something that we should fear? Is this something that is going to happen and out of our control? Well, to discuss this, I'm delighted to say, is Angus Walker, former ITN China correspondent. Angus, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure to have you.
You're very welcome, Petrie.
I mean, when you think about Vladimir Putin recently meeting with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump believing that he has this special friendship and relationship with Vladimir Putin, clearly Trump wants Putin and Xi not to be as close. Is this meeting an embarrassment for America and Donald Trump?
Well, I think the leaders who are meeting, certainly Vladimir Putin, President Xi, and Kim Jong-un from North Korea, they definitely benefit from being seen to be standing up to Donald Trump, to be standing up to the United States for their own domestic audiences. And that includes also the president of India, let's not forget, who's just been at the Shanghai Cooperation meeting. He also benefits from being seen domestically to be standing up to Donald Trump and the tariffs that have been imposed on India. But I mean, the star of the show here is President Xi. This massive military parade tomorrow will be the first time we've seen a brand new military structure for the Chinese armed forces, and that will be very interesting to see. It will be a chance for the Chinese to show off some of the hardware, and let's not forget there is a constant threat to Taiwan from mainland China as well, so there's potential for a massive conflict to break out in China itself. China versus Taiwan would be huge, and the US would be brought into that. But back to your point, Petrie, all of them standing shoulder to shoulder are standing up to President Trump and the US, and that does them a lot of good back home.
But where does this leave America? Are these leaders sniffing weakness in the United States, this sort of isolation policies, if you like, the tariffs, the bordering on the verge of a recession? Are they seeing this, seeing Donald Trump and thinking this is now the time that we can form this really strong alliance, all get in the same room and prove a point?
Yeah, I think there's a certain element of that, but I think we need to stay rooted in the reality that America is the world's largest economy, and the US has the world's largest and most sophisticated military. And however much money China plows into its military budget and spending, which is huge, it still doesn't have a military force equivalent to the United States as well. Russia's economy is absolutely minuscule compared to the United States. India knows ultimately it needs to keep the US as a friend for business. And India is far more interested in doing business. And of course, North Korea just wouldn't exist without China's support, literally giving it life support, food, power, oil, everything. Everything North Korea has depends on China continuing to give it that support. So I think we need to bear that landscape in mind before we start thinking that China and its Russian ally and North Korea are somehow forming a new world order, which is what they want, but it's not there. It's not big enough. It's not powerful enough to suddenly, to take on the United States toe to toe, and they will be wary of that at all times.
Going back to India and Modi, how is he going to ride both horses here? Because he's holding hands with Vladimir Putin. He's siding with Xi. He's there. He's still going to buy the gas from Russia. He needs it, right? He can't survive without it. And how is he going to do that and keep Donald Trump on side?
Well, I think he might well, he is going to stand up to Donald Trump because, as I say, it does him a lot of good domestically to be able to say we're not going to be bullied. And he's obviously, out of all these leaders, he's probably the one that, still is the one that has the democracy, the world's largest democracy indeed, unlike Putin or President Xi, who don't really have to worry about democracy too much. So I think he's going to ride those two horses, but appeal to Donald Trump on the business sense. Modi will say, well, I'm going to get oil and gas from wherever I can get the best deal. And I think that is the message that he's been sending the United States. Look, if you put me in this position, well, this is what I'm going to do. And surely you, Donald Trump, of all people, should appreciate the fact that I'm going for the best deal I can get. And that seems to be the position and the messaging that he's putting forward at the moment to try to walk this line between the United States and being friendly with President Putin as well. But it clearly means more to him domestically than it does to appeasing President Trump, as it were.
If we look at the people who were there, the men that were there at this meeting, are you surprised that Turkey was there? This is a NATO member, second only in size to the United States, and the fact that Erdogan is there, what does that tell you?
Yeah, I think with Turkey, it always wants to try to plough this sort of world's diplomat position, and that's why I think it's tolerated that Turkish president is there as well. And also they understand, I mean, the West understands that Turkey has a geographical position, literally bridging Asia and Europe, and needs to think about that. And a lot of trade from China comes through Turkey, and they do a lot of trade with China as well. So I think everyone understands that, you know, even us here in the UK, we understand that China is our biggest frenemy. I mean, we are so linked to China, you know, through trade, through business, and the same for Turkey as well. I mean, clearly, you know, the British Prime Minister is not going to attend a meeting like this, and nor is the US going to send anyone high-ranking to attend either. There are red lines which can't be crossed by US, UK, and other senior European leaders. But for Turkey, they do. In the case of Modi as well, you've got another example there. They're really doing what India does and trying to ride two horses, as you say.
Putin at the moment is in hock to Xi and Kim, right? He needs them. He in order to continue with his war against Ukraine, he would not really be able to do it without those two powerhouses. Yeah. Kim has been supplying soldiers and weapons. Yeah. Xi has been buying their oil, keeping the war machine going. Yeah. But what's in it for Kim and Xi to meet with Putin? I can see why Putin is there going, "Oh, you're my best friend ever and I love you." But on the flip side, what is Russia offering them?
Well, they're offering discounted oil. That's the bottom line. I mean, above all, in China, certainly for China, business comes first. You know, business will come before war. And China, remember, always, in public at least, says, you know, we don't interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, and in turn, the US and the West shouldn't interfere in the internal affairs of other countries either. And that's the sort of position they try to portray on the global stage, that they're a peaceful nation, they don't interfere, unlike the pesky United States and the West, who go into Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya and whatever. China always tries to keep the moral high ground, but bear in mind, of course, that, you know, if North Korea is sending troops and weaponry to Russia to fight Ukraine, that is in effect China sending, because North Korea would have nothing without China. All those soldiers, all that weapons, ammunition is essentially Chinese. So it's actually, everyone knows China, in public is doing one thing, but in private is doing quite another via its proxy, North Korea. And it is indeed a proxy for China. It's a buffer zone. It's a useful, sometimes annoying sort of country cousin, but it can be used in the way it's being used at the moment. But yeah, ultimately it's because Putin's saying, look, I'll give you a massive discount on crude oil, and please buy it. And they're saying, yes, thank you very much, we'll buy it. And that's what's keeping them all together. Above all, it's business, and the business of cheap oil.
Ukraine and Zelensky must be a bit of a shudder going down their spine at seeing this meeting, because of course it bolsters Putin. It bolsters him not only in popularity back at home, which he desperately needs with the number of dead, but it also bolsters him in terms of, yeah, we're going to continue helping you, yeah, we're going to continue supplying the weapons of destruction against Ukraine. Does this shorten the war or elongate it?
Well, I mean, it elongates it, surely. I mean, as long as Putin has cash coming in, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of oil is being sold to India and to China. So they are bankrolling this war effectively, and as long as that continues, yes, of course, you're elongating and extending the conflict, and more people die, and we get into another winter. You know, we're about to go into another winter of the Ukraine-Russia war with all the grim reality that brings.
Turning back to China, and something you mentioned earlier on is the constitutional, if I can say constitution with China, the imperative to retake Taiwan, right? To take Taiwan. It really, we were more clear, I think, where America stood in terms of what level of help they would give Taiwan if that eventuality happened. I don't think we are clear anymore what America would do in the instance that Xi did attack and try and reclaim Taiwan. Yeah. And looking at this meeting, is Xi seeking support, at least permission possibly, from those others in this axis for him to do that?
Well, I don't think he needs to seek it. I think that would be a given in the event of a conflict. But again, you know, behind the scenes, and when I was based in Beijing and talked about this to diplomats, you know, they would always say that whatever's bad for business, China won't do it. You know, and a conflict in that region would affect 3 of the largest economies in the world: China, obviously, Japan, and South Korea. And you know, if you brought those economies into a massive conflict, think about the damage that would be done globally, and the damage that would be done to millions of Chinese people in terms of their own impact on their pockets, not just on the, you know, the casualties that would result, and the huge risk to, you know, of nuclear war, for example, and things like that. You know, stuff you don't really want to think about. But the thing that always has stopped, I mean, it makes sense for Xi to do a lot of saber rattling, and China to saber rattle about Taiwan all the time, and they do. And they do massive exercises, as you know, and they lots of provocative stuff going on in the South China Sea all the time, day in, day out. But it's constantly believed by the West that the risk to the Chinese economy would stop it from actually going over the top.
Because Japan is worried about it too, right? I mean, you know, that whole region is concerned, but where is the clarification as to what kind of support Taiwan and the rest of that region would get? We haven't really seen it, have we?
No, you don't see much of it in public because it's not, it's a pretty, it causes a lot of problems with your trading position with China if you give Taiwan too much public support. So Western democracies and Western diplomats are constantly trying to walk a very thin tightrope when it comes to how much public support they can give Taiwan. But again, I think behind the scenes, a lot of this happens, more quietly than in other areas of the world. That behind the scenes, of course, China accepts that it would put the West in a position, if it invaded Taiwan or tried to reclaim Taiwan, it would put the West in a position where the West would have to be doing something. And the uncertainty, the one thing that Donald Trump has that other American leaders haven't had, perhaps, is that level of uncertainty, which actually the Chinese don't like. You know, they liked it when they could predict what an American leader might do, might not do. And, 1 minute Trump might say, well, I'm not really interested in Taiwan, but then, they're then thinking, well, maybe tomorrow he'll be completely different. And, we don't know where we stand with him. And actually that is to Donald Trump's advantage, I think, that he has the Chinese second guessing his intentions.
Just finally, with Trump and Putin, many people that I read are saying we are further away from any peace deal than we were at any point, because Putin has learned how to play Trump. He knows how to ask for more time, to say, I want peace, but just a couple more weeks. What is next in that? Really, after this, what do you surmise will be the next step for Trump? Will he lose patience?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult question.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you just don't, you're trying to predict what's going to happen. But I think you've got to look at, as always, what the benefits are for Putin. As long as, like we've already discussed, he's getting a line of cash from his customers. excuse me, and ultimately he will be able to continue, much longer. But also he benefits from making Trump look weak. Excuse me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a terrible cold.
That's all right. I had it last week, so I know. I know how you feel. Yeah, I guess that it is very difficult to predict because we can't predict Trump.
Yeah.
We just don't know. Angus, I will let you go and rest your weary throat, but thank you so much. I always really, really enjoy talking to you, so thank you very much indeed. Angus Walker, a former ITN China correspondent. Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie here with you. It's also time for our new competition. Biggest competition to date is now live, and we're giving you the chance to win a whopping £25,000 plus Oasis tickets. That's 2 lucky winners will win a pair of Oasis tickets when they return to Wembley on the 27th of September. So not just those tickets, but the 25 grand as well. Now, for all the details on how to enter this amazing competition, listen up right now.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a TalkSport limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
So there you go. Make sure you enter because that is 27th of September and the rate this year's going, that'll be here in 5 minutes. So do get on with that. Right, coming up at midnight is the phone-in, and I really want to understand this because although I was brought up in the countryside, I'm a white person and I don't obviously, I wasn't aware of racism because it wouldn't have happened to me. But this report says that rural racism leaves people feeling unwelcome and unsafe in the UK countryside. So not just England, we're talking Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland as well. Are you racist? I mean, you're not really going to admit to that, but do you think the countryside is racist? And while we're at it, any person of colour listening, do you even consider that the countryside is part of your world as well? Would you ever go to the countryside? Do you think that it is racist? Do you keep away because you believe that it's not going to be for you? I'm really interested, because I wonder if the two things that join up. Because often people cry racist. It's like the old Muslims hate Christmas thing. You know, all councils are cancelling Christmas because of Muslims, and then the Muslims are going, actually, we celebrate Christmas, so don't shut up. We're quite happy to do both. So often people call racism on behalf of people when perhaps it isn't there. I don't know. I'm asking you. So you're going to have to enlighten me. So please do. The number that you need is 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you straight back. You could also send me a text message if you put the word talk and then your message to 87222.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie, and just a reminder that coming up, Johnny Hearn will be here to talk about some movies, and if we can dig Kevin Schofield out of the party, he'll be here at the top of the hour. But right here and right now is Josh Rom, entertainment reporter and The Sun newspaper contributor. Right, the biggest...
Sorry, you said Kevin Schofield party. Am I going to be off if I hear party?
The party. It's on the 17th floor.
There's a party that I'm missing. What?
Yes,
what?
It was Suede.
Suede, yes, they were performing.
Yeah.
They were performing.
Anyway, my producer, who's supposed to be responsible, walks me over there, takes me to the bar and said, "Get yourself a drink," before I go on air. And then I bump into Denny, the boss, and he said, "Yeah, just have a small one."
Yeah,
how irresponsible.
No, well, yes,
it starts with a small one. It always does.
No, but I mean, listen.
I didn't have a drink, by the way. I can't.
But also, this is the thing as well. You say that. I believe the responsibility ultimately relies on the person.
No, I've got a producer for that reason. He's supposed to be my.
Maybe that's a reporter's thing. Like, we're responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for our content. Like, listen, I would never say I've been on air drunk ever. ever just would fundamentally not do that. However, I'm one of those people where I know how to self-regulate, and so
I don't.
You know what? Maybe
That's how it starts.
Maybe it's the showbiz in me.
Yeah.
Because obviously I have to go to all these parties, have a sip of champagne, and then fit in.
Whereas if I go to a party and there's free champagne, I'm like, woohoo. So I can't be trusted. And that was a free bar. But also, there are two things I never do drunk. Broadcast and drive.
Yes.
Or one drink even. Broadcast
never broadcast drunk, and definitely never drink drive.
Never drink drive and never drink
dangerous.
Speak.
Yes.
Anyway, the Sun's biggest entertainment story. Talk me through this. Bruno
Tonioli, yes.
Yeah.
Well, he basically stepped down from BGT 2 months ago, Britain's Got Talent, to focus on the US version of Dancing with the Stars. Because obviously...
Is that why?
Well, he's been doing it for... I mean, let's be honest, that's the party line. That's the line that we're going with. That's the line that's been said to the press. Yes, he stepped down to focus on Dancing with the Stars. You know, we can look into that all we want. You know, I mean, I will say this, Dancing with the Stars is a major commitment over in the United States. But was
More
he the
money.
most... Very much so. American television still has like big bucks, big bucks. I will say though, he wasn't the most popular judge anyway. You know, he was quite often booed by the audience. He was very over the top. When he was first hired, it was very much assumed that that would be kind of Alan Carr's role, and apparently he signed on the dotted line, but then Simon apparently at the time did a U-turn and then chose very left field randomly Bruno Tonioli instead, even though he was still doing Dancing with the Stars over in the US, even though Alan Carr was a favourite. So Bruno Tonioli hasn't necessarily been the most popular judge, but then saying that the person that they're replacing him with...
They like unpopular, don't they, a bit?
Simon, yes, but other judges, no, not really. So they're replacing him with KSI, who of course had guest stints in the auditions. He came back for one of the semi-finals and then the grand finale to perform. Very, very popular with the audience. Massive cheers. Of course, ITV hoping that he would bring some of that digital audience with him onto the show. Again, I think we've seen it from Dancing on Ice. Digital audiences don't necessarily translate onto linear television. But good luck to them. I think they're going to be paying him a lot of money for it. Millions upon millions.
I'm available.
So am I.
He's worth 80 million. Nice. I'm worth 80 quid.
Is that what you get for the show? Really?
For the week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, a whole £80, all to myself. All right, let's turn to your interviews, because I'm really excited about this film, actually. And it's a remake of the film in 1989, The War of the Roses, which was Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner and Danny DeVito.
Yes.
So talk me through what the changes are, and then we'll get to the interviews as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So, of course, the original movie made in 1989 saw basically a feuding couple. They're a couple that started off very happily married, and then it all descended because you had the workaholic husband and then you had the wife who was the housekeeper raising the children, and they come to blows. But this time around, the roles have been reversed. So Benedict Cumberbatch's character, so first and foremost, it stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman as these two characters. So we have Benedict Cumberbatch's character. He's an architect, and basically he suffers a career-ending misfortune. So then he's forced to be the stay-at-home dad to look after these two kids. Olivia Colman's character, she's an aspiring chef. She loves it, and at first she's the mum, but then what happens is that she starts up a restaurant. It becomes a hit. She then expands, and before you know it, she's become the head of this US national restaurant empire, effectively. So she becomes the workaholic. So effectively the gender roles in this film are reversed. You have this very much contemporary twist brought into the film, and then in the same way that you had Danny DeVito as the lawyer, you have this ensemble cast which features Alison Janney once again as this ball-busting hard-nosed lawyer going in all aggressive. She's perfect for it. You then also have former SNL stars Andy Samberg and Kate Kate McKinnon as this kind of married couple, with Kate McKinnon trying it on with Benedict Cumberbatch's character in the most hilarious way, and Andy Samberg being this kind of socially awkward character. You then have Ncuti Gatwa as the kind of main helper, with Olivia Colman's restaurant empire as well. It's a whole ensemble cast. It's absolutely brilliant. So
I'm really looking forward to it.
I think it's a really fun watch.
Let's get into the voices. Let's hear. You know, you managed to speak to some of the big
Yes, I was at the UK premiere speaking to the stars. So I spoke to Benedict Cumberbatch, and he actually told me that when production started, he and Olivia, he kind of struggled a bit to properly, you know, give it to Olivia when it comes to the arguments.
Well, yeah, to begin with, it was odd because we had to sort of save the nasty till when we got to the house for reasons I won't unfold, but it was a kind of technical thing of how the house plays a big part in the film. And it had been quite fun until that point, and then it started to get quite real and nasty, and all the love language of it turned sour with recrimination and resentment, and it got a little bit punchy. And I just had to touch base and touch on them. Are we okay? Are we okay? Are you and I okay? She went, what are you talking about? I went, it's quite horrible being Thea right now. She went, oh, Ben, gave me a hug, and I was like, oh God, I'm being an idiot. It's all fine.
Benedict, how much are you loving supporting Miss Olivia Colman in her truly unhinged era?
Is she in her unhinged era?
Yes.
Am I supporting her for it? I don't think she's unhinged. I think she's doing great. You mean in terms of career choices?
Actors, parts.
Does she describe it as that?
Well, I mean, look at Wicked Little Letters, look at her role in Paddington. Her characters are certainly being eccentric, to say the least.
Yeah, but like always with Olivia, there's this authenticity which makes them believable and heartbreaking and empathizable. So she's just a very good, complex storyteller who could do the nuance, can do the humour, can do the tragedy, and it's working with her is a treat. It raises your game. She's a dear friend, so I'm proud as well as, you know, honoured. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch peaked at Sherlock for me.
You see, I think people like Benedict from all different eras. He's obviously big in Marvel, playing Doctor Strange as well.
Yeah.
So there's all different eras. I think what Benedict's really good is he was originally the TV star, and then he's transitioned into this massive movie maker, effectively.
But for me, it's Olivia Colman all the way. I just think she is one of the greatest actors in the world. I just think everything she touches is just genius. Who else did you speak to?
So I spoke to one of my favourite actresses in the world, Alison Janney. I loved her in I, Tonya. I loved her in The Help. She's known for playing these, as I said before, these ball-busting characters. And she actually admitted that while she was on the set, a number of the actors, she didn't want to quite name names, although she actually ended up doing so, but a number of the stars couldn't help but break character whilst they were filming.
Oh yeah, I mean these, and you know Andy especially would ad-lib a lot of stuff, and he would always make us laugh. And then off screen even more. It was just sheer joy getting to do this one scene with these amazing actors. Just happy to be part of it. You know?
I've got to tell you, Alison, I am such a big fan of all of your work. The Help is one of my favourite films of all time. Loved you and I, Tonya. You of course also play a lawyer in Bombshell as well. What is it about these ball-busting characters that you think you're so good at, and why do you suit them so well?
It's so funny. I don't know, because I'm so the opposite in real life. I'm actually very shy and scared to have a very shy. So to get to play these women is so much fun. I think my height helps, and my voice, and just wishing I could be these women. It's kind of, a thrill for me.
Do you think there's just like a little part of you, that like little sense of inner anger that just gets let loose through these characters?
Well, you know, you see me, don't you? Have you talked to my therapist lately? Yeah, I definitely like to let that rip, because I've definitely got all that going underneath me, and be able to be allowed to let loose in a film like this, enormous fun.
I think we had a little bit of a technical glitch there in the middle of that interview, so sorry about that, Josh. But a little bit of a glitch. You also spoke to Kate McKinnon.
Yes, SNL star Kate McKinnon. I asked Kate basically because she's known for playing all of these. She's known for her parodies on SNL. I think of "Hello, I'm Ellen" and I think of her doing, of course, Hillary Clinton. Those famous sketches, doing the roly-poly with all the debating Alec Baldwin's Trump. Absolutely hilarious. She's also does Rudy Giuliani. And Elizabeth Warren. She kind of parodies all the politicians left and right. But she steps into kind of the role of a fictional character. So I asked her, you know, she's used to playing these parodying these non-fiction characters. What inspiration does she take for the fictional ones?
Good question. Well, it's it's in the script, and then I am always inspired. This was loosely based on someone I know, and I won't say any more than that. Very loose, very loose.
I mean, that's quite a cheeky thing to do.
Someone I don't know someone I met once or twice. I just thought that was the attitude. So so I sort of used. I was inspired by that.
Are you scared of getting any passive-aggressive texts because of this performance then?
I pray no.
She is absolutely genius. If you've never watched Saturday Night Live with her in it, then you've missed out.
YouTube clips, they're still available. They're absolute classics.
And she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. As is ex-Doctor Who.
Ex-Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa. Spoke to him on the red carpet as well. This film is all about conflict. So I asked a little bit of a personal one. How does he deal with conflict?
Oh, a good one.
I love keeping the peace, and I'm scared of conflict. I'm a Libra, and so I always run away from it. What was your question? If people
that pretty much answered the question.
Yeah, no, I run away from conflict. Very scared of it. No, I'm taking notes. I struggle with taking sides, and so I just listen to everyone, and then I'm gonna sort it out amongst yourselves. I'm off. I'm not getting involved.
A very wise man. Very
words.
Very wise words. Josh, thank you. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. Josh Rom, entertainment reporter and The Sun newspaper contributor. Movies next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
And it's time to talk movies, and with me is Johnny Hearn, filmmaker, broadcaster and talk film reporter. And last time we saw Josh, he came to us with Thursday Murder Club exclusive interviews, which were brilliant, and I loved them, so much that I went home and I watched Thursday Murder Club on Netflix.
Yes, yeah, it's out on Netflix. Well, it's out on Netflix on Friday. So yes, this is the film based on the book by Richard Osman. You know, he, that tall chap from Pointless.
Very tall chap.
Very tall chap from Pointless. His wife is actually in this film. Did you know that? His real life wife is in the film.
Is she?
Yes.
Oh,
she
what part does she play?
The financial wizard lady who's the daughter of...
The daughter?
Yes.
Is that his actual wife?
That's his actual wife, yes. There you go.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. I did not know that.
You can tell because she's got a crook in her neck all the time. Right?
Yeah. No, she was very good.
Yeah, so Thursday Murder Club, based on the book of Richard Osman. So I'll list through the cast. Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, Celia Imrie and Ben Kingsley. They play four characters who are living in this sort of kind of like retirement home, but it's sort of in a massive...
nicest looking retirement home I've ever seen.
An enormous sort of stately home. And every Thursday they have what they call the Thursday Murder Club, where they try and solve cold case murders from a friend of theirs who founded the club, who used to be a police officer, and they find this case and they're trying to work out what happened from something that, a murder that happened 50 years ago. As that is happening, there happens to be an actual murder of somebody who is connected to them, because there's a bit of a dispute going on about the ownership of this property and what is going to happen with it as well. And one of the perpetrators of that gets murdered, and so suddenly the four of them then thrust into this real life murder which they have to try and solve whilst trying to solve the one from 50 years ago.
I liked this, and I thought Richard E. Grant was brilliant. He only had a very small part in it.
Tiny cameo role, one day filming on that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, he just embodies that character. I'm not going to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but he's just so... he's just one of my favourites.
Well, the cast of really make
brilliant cast.
It's, also
you can't fault it.
You've got Daniel Mays, Jonathan Pryce, of course, plays Helen Mirren's husband. I mean, it's a brilliant cast, and they're all having a lot lot of fun making this movie.
Yeah, you can tell.
They're hanging out in this big stately house. They're almost certainly all staying there. Get a phone call from the agent. Do you want to go and spend 6 weeks in a stately home in the summer? Yeah, okay, I think I'll go and do that. Yeah, they all know each other. They all hang out together. They've worked together many times, and you could tell that they were having fun making this film.
Yeah, it was very sweet. It was perfect for what it is meant to be. We've got a clip.
Yes.
Let's have a look or a listen to the Thursday Murder Club. It's a 12A, it's an hour and 58, and it's on Netflix.
We investigate cold cases. It's a club about murder.
Does sound a bit bonkers.
In breaking news,
There's been a murder. An actual murder.
The victim appears to have been bludgeoned to death.
Now we've got a real case to solve, isn't it wonderful? Obviously, R.I.P. and all that.
And how do we catch them? What we need is a man or a woman on the inside.
Would you like to be investigating the murder?
Who do you think you are, the head of MI5?
we'd better get started.
Yes, intermediate knitting starts here in 1 hour.
The police are making a list of suspects right now.
He had plenty of enemies.
I'm not worried about the cantankerous old farts.
Police work is off limits to anyone who isn't the police.
Plonker. We're all suspects.
Bugger.
If any harm comes to my friends, I will personally be laying a dozen blood-red roses on your coffin.
She's just class, isn't she, Helen?
Helen Mirren absolutely steals this film.
I agree. I think she
really
absolutely
does.
I couldn't quite get over Pierce Brosnan's accent.
Right, okay.
I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, okay.
It didn't sell it to me. But I loved it. Honestly, every single performance in this is just a joy to watch. I thought it was brilliantly directed as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I don't think it's a story that I haven't seen 100 times before.
No,
but the telling of it was
it's every episode of Midsummer Murders wrapped up in. If you imagine, pick at random any episode of Midsummer Murders or Vera or something like that, and then just put this cast in it, and then get an A-list director in Chris Columbus, you know, the guy who directed 2 of the Harry Potter films, directed Miss Doubtfire. You know, he's one of the best. You know, of that kind of sort of light, fluffy comedy movies. He's absolutely brilliant at that. Put all of that together.
This will be a classic. This will be a classic that people will
run
watch.
and run for a long time.
Yeah, I think people will watch it, you know, in the winter when they're oh, what's a nice feel-good film? Let's sit down and watch it.
It's a very English film.
Really
it's
English
a film
film
where you want to sit and have a cup of tea and a slice of cake.
It's like the old
with it.
Sunday movies we used to watch, you know, as a family. That you know, we'd sit down on a Sunday afternoon and watch.
Anyone can watch.
Anyone can watch this.
It's a 12A certificate, but I mean, you know, so kids up to great grandma can watch this film. And it's,
it really was. It's I sit down at Christmas type movie and watch as well. But Helen Mirren. That was a good line, actually, when she was dressed as the Queen, and her husband Jonathan Pryce says, "You look like the Queen."
You look like the Queen. Yeah, she was dressed.
What she played.
She was dressed in exactly the same way that she was when she played the Queen in the film The Queen. There was a nice little kind of in-joke. There are a lot of little in-jokes.
Yeah, there were quite a few actually. I liked it. What about The Roses? This is a 15. Of course, we've just had their Benedict Cumberbatch chatting to Josh and a couple of the other stars there. Again, a really nice cast.
It is. Now, I'm afraid I have to slightly contradict what Josh said earlier. It's not a remake of the 1989 film The War of the Roses. It is actually a new adaptation of the book that The War of the Roses was adapted from. But it's not a remake of the film because it's different. There's different storylines and you know it's presented in a different way.
That's a filmmaker's nuance.
Well, it's quite a big nuance.
Okay.
It's quite a big nuance.
All right.
It's a remake of the source material, but it's not a remake of the actual film itself. So I just want to clarify that. And also, it doesn't have Danny DeVito, who absolutely steals that movie. I do love the original film with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. I actually watched that a couple of weeks ago, and I'd forgotten how great that film is. It's absolutely brilliant.
DeVito,
so this is written by Tony McNamara, who wrote Poor Things, the big Oscar winner from earlier this year. It's a lot kind of more farcical than the 1989 version of the film.
Yes, from the clips I've seen, it does look a bit ham.
Yeah, and a lot more kind of funny lines in it, a lot kind of cutting lines, some of which can't quite put in the trailer that we're going to play the clip of, which I quite like, would have liked to, but we couldn't. I mean, Olivia Colman steals this. Benedict Cumberbatch, I think he's boring. I think he's boring in everything. And I
liked him as Sherlock because I think Sherlock is a weird character, and I think he managed to portray that well.
Yeah,
but again, he was well supported.
Yeah. I think he needs a good support cast, and thankfully he has Olivia Colman to play up to spark
I'm with you. For what it's worth, I'm not a massive fan myself of Cumberbatch, but he probably isn't a fan of mine. Right, let's have a listen or a look at the trailer clip of The Roses.
Everybody seems to think we hate each other. I suppose sometimes I do hate you. Sporadic hatred.
It's infused with tarragon. It adds a bit of bitterness.
Ivy likes to leave a little bit of herself in everything she does.
I love this fun banter you guys do.
We are done.
I say when we're done.
I just want the house. I built it.
Oh, you're not having the house.
We want everything. And he walks out of here with his face still attached. Right, Bruno?
Wow. You're a bottomless pit of need. You're just making me madder.
I don't think you have the capacity to fix your problems.
Are you actually allowed to say that?
That seems unprofessional.
Yes, like malpractice.
We'll be expecting a hefty discount.
I think I'm going to enjoy that.
I think you will. I think it's a good testament as to how well revered British actors and British crew as well, but British actors are in Hollywood. That a film like this that's based on an American book that was a classic American movie of the 80s, but has now chosen 2 British actors to play the lead parts and a 3rd British actor to be one of the supporting parts as well. I think that's a great testament of just how well liked and how revered British actors are.
Like Josh was just saying, though, of course, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch has done all the. Is it Marvel or DC? I get confused. But anyway, he was one of those. Yeah. So he's box office.
Yeah.
And Olivia Colman is always box office.
Oscar winner,
of
course.
I mean, she can't do anymore.
No.
I
would watch Olivia Colman sitting on a chair reading a shopping list.
So would I.
Because she would make it really interesting.
She would literally make it the most fascinating thing you've ever seen. There's every character that she plays, every part that she touches, she makes her own.
Yeah.
And she doesn't act.
No.
It's not acting, she becomes.
Well, that's the skill.
That is the skill.
That's why
that's why
you get cast.
That's why she gets the big bucks.
Yeah.
Because she is absolutely brilliant. So The Roses, it's a 15 and it's an hour 40. That's quite short for Hollywood.
Well, for a comedy
an hour
movie,
45.
Well, for comedies,
we're used to 3 hours now.
Well, but comedies are always shorter. You don't want anything more than sort of an hour and 50 for comedy. It goes a bit too long.
All right. Yeah. They're good picks, but if you haven't seen the Thursday Murder Club, please do give it a watch. And I should be watching The Roses. Johnny, thank you. Johnny Hearn, filmmaker, broadcaster and talk film reporter. Kevin Schofield is next. Fingers crossed.
My message to
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, it is Petrie and it is good to have your company. And just to give you a bit of a picture, earlier on this evening my producer said there's a party going on this floor. I mentioned this earlier and I said, oh, let's go and have a look. And we wandered in there. First person that I see, like a mum catching their kid, Kevin Schofield. So I walked over to him and he went, hello. 2 beers, one in each hand, and he picked up one and went, this is my last one. But I don't know which one was the last one, but there he is with 2 beers, caught.
That was hours ago. Hours and hours ago. I've had plenty
ago.
of coffee since then.
You got caught. What were you doing there?
Yeah, I've seen Suede. Great band.
You still got your pass on your wrist?
Yeah, my little wrist thing.
Like a child.
A band I used to go and see back in the 90s. So yeah, it was full of middle-aged fans on my age group these days.
It's so bizarre because obviously here in the newsroom it's the same floor. It's a vast building, and you can smell the alcohol permeates, so you can smell it while you're working. But I never normally wander across there, and of course the second person I saw was my boss, and I was like, oh hello, and he said, oh no, I'm really pleased you're here. We wanted lots of people to come in, and I was there for literally seconds because I came back out because they were both trying to persuade me to have a drink. And
it was a great gig, Was
it good? How long did they play for?
About like 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great, and I was really close to them.
Were you even a bit of a bop?
Maybe a little bit.
Were you singing along?
A few songs, yeah, I was.
I should have got there earlier. I would have got you some footage. Anyway, it's lovely to see you. And before we get into the papers, rural racism leaves people feeling unwelcome and unsafe, so says this. I mean, it's a really damning report about rural Britain. It's 96% white, but I don't believe that makes it 96% racist. I think that joining those dots, it's an odd thing, and I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm trying to establish that. But just because something is overwhelmingly white doesn't make it racist, in my view. Right, there will be people amongst that, I guess, but it's so damning, this report. But is it like councils cancelling Christmas because they say that it'll offend Muslims, and Muslims are going, no, we're not offended, crack on with it, or is this real?
I mean, it does strike me as odd, certainly.
It's an odd thing to choose to do. It seems to be causing a stir.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a slur on people that live in the countryside as well, isn't it?
That's why I'm trying to figure out if it's true. I mean, I've lived in London. So I was brought up in the countryside in Oxfordshire, outside of not far from a town called Banbury. You know, but I wasn't aware of racism because I'm white, right? So, but as soon as I could get out of Dodge, I did, and I came to London. So I've only ever really since then lived in this city, or I spent a year in South Wales, in Monmouth, which is beautiful. But again, not for me. I just went, no, country life is not for me. I'm going home. But I wonder why. I even wonder why this report has been done.
Yeah, it's really strange, but it's sort of in keeping with the times right now, isn't it? That we are very much aware of national identity, obviously flags, lots of flags flying at the moment, and it feels as though people are being forced to choose. You know,
to take a side.
Are you white British or are you not? And it makes me feel quite uncomfortable.
I absolutely agree with you, because it is, look, there is racism. Wherever there are people, there's going to be isms, right?
There's
homophobia, there's all sorts of things that go on. And I'm sure that homophobia is an issue in the countryside where they're perhaps not as used to, seeing.
But it's also an issue here in the cities as well.
But it's just one of those things that I'm getting bored with being called racist, actually. Because you had Keir Starmer saying that, didn't you? Anybody who wants these grooming gangs to be investigated is just playing to the far right, basically calling you a racist. I don't understand this at the moment. Surely that causes problems and racism rather than solves them.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you label 96% of people in an area as racist.
I mean, that's Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, that's the whole rural...
Of course, I grew up, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s in Scotland, and at that time, Scotland was, overwhelmingly white, but I wouldn't say it was overwhelmingly racist.
No.
Far from it.
But it's almost, and also the 96% is white. It's almost like that itself is an accusation of something.
Yeah.
The countryside is 96% white, and.
Yeah, well.
What does that prove?
Even if it's true, it doesn't mean
it doesn't prove anything.
They're racist or any more likely to be prejudiced against non-white people than people that live in cities. We live, as you know, London, a very multicultural city, maybe the most multicultural city, maybe apart from New York, in the whole world, and you get racists here.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
I find this very divisive. This kind of even doing the report in the first, they're going looking for racism. It feels to me like, right, we're going to go and find racism. I mean, one of the points that was made is that there's not enough halal meat in the country. Well, if there isn't a market for it, then they're not going to sell it. And I'm sorry, I disapprove. I laid my cards on the table. I'm a big supporter of the RSPCA on this issue. I don't approve of halal-killed animals. Sorry. It doesn't make me a racist, it just makes me an animal lover, right? And I know there are religious reasons for it, and I get that, but I don't think we should do it in this country. But that in itself, I just think it's odd.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, that is the law of supply and demand, isn't it?
Yeah.
If there's no demand in an overwhelmingly white area for halal meat, then clearly they're not going to sell it.
But the suggestion is that, you know, if you want to go for a pub meal and you're a Muslim, you won't get a halal chicken or beef. And that therefore makes them feel unwelcome. Well...
Yeah, it just feels very exhausting right now.
I agree. The whole conversation is...
You know, we thought that we'd got past all of that, you know, from the 1970s, but it just shows again that you have to keep fighting these battles down through...
I mean, we thought we won these...
The decades,
I mean, also during sort of our youth, I mean, you're a bit younger than me, we fought to remove labels from people.
Mm-hmm.
We fought so people were just a doctor or a nurse, not a male doctor, not a female nurse. Yeah, we fought to say, no, you're not a gay politician, you're just a politician.
Mm-hmm,
you're not a black dancer, you're just a dancer. We fought to strip the world of, and now everybody wants a blooming label back.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of politicians.
Why?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of politicians, unfortunately, as well, who like to...
They like to play the game.
Exploit that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And they emphasise the things that would, on the surface, make us different from one another rather than the things that we've got in common. And unfortunately, you know, there is a constituency.
Why are people playing to that? Yeah. And a report like this I can't see as being helpful to anybody.
No, I agree.
Right, let's have a quick look at the Washington Post. The summit, this access, they're calling it the access of upheaval, which I quite like. But it's really fascinating what is going on there, and you know, obviously Putin is there to bolster his supply of money and weapons from North Korea and from China particularly. But you've got Turkey, NATO member there, which is weird. And you've got the leader of Belarus, which is ostensibly in Europe, so it's a European leader. I mean, it's an odd bunch of people. Should we be worried about it?
I think we should be definitely concerned. It would appear that Donald Trump's America First outlook is pushing these other countries closer together. And, you know, Donald Trump can talk about his great relationship with President Xi and how, you know, him and Putin got on remarkably well. But ultimately, they are forming alliances which
stronger and stronger,
which are not in the West's interests, and it feels as though that's where we're heading for geopolitically.
A shift.
Absolutely. These alliances of China, Russia, India, huge countries, massive countries, huge economies. Certainly in China and India's case, obviously the Russian economy has taken a battering because of the war.
And they're still making billions in selling cheap gas and oil.
Around the world.
Billions.
And I mean, Donald Trump just seems to be oblivious to it.
I'm wondering what his response might be to it. Because it feels like these countries, you know, China is trying to portray itself now as the stable economy, the economy that doesn't mess around with tariffs, the economy you can trust. They're putting together, I think it's a couple of billion pounds or dollars together as loans to influence poorer countries to align with. I mean, they've been doing it for decades. But they're putting together an even bigger war chest, if you like, but with this soft power that China uses and gets countries into debt to them and then owns them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I think to point out is that Putin now is no longer a pariah on the global stage as he was initially after the invasion of Ukraine. This is a man who has tried to rip up borders by force,
Yeah.
which again we thought we'd left behind.
Yeah.
But he's been given legitimacy by Trump, literally rolling out the red carpet for him in Alaska, and now there he is, rubbing shoulders with Xi, Modi, in these other leaders of these other countries that you've mentioned, and it's almost like he's been rehabilitated on the global stage. It's almost like it's never happened.
I mean,
You wouldn't
Modi
know
and
that
him
he was-
holding hands.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary image, that. But yeah, it is.
It's definitely something for us to be incredibly worried about. There's no doubt about it.
I agree. Recruits line up at Texas event for ICE hiring blitz. Of course, ICE now is what is it, the second or third most funded army, if you like, in the world, and they're offering amazing sort of signing bonuses. If you come from college, they're going to wipe out your education debt. They're going to give you 50 grand because Trump needs more recruits to do this, and they are lining up to take the money and cover their faces and carry out Trump's wishes.
Well, again, it is really worrying that this is happening, in my opinion, and you can almost see, maybe not quite as forceful as in America, but in this country as well, the government is really pursuing quite a right-wing agenda when it comes to immigration, illegal immigration, and it is being led, I think, by the fact that Reform are doing so well in the opinion polls, and the government feels it needs to tack in that direction. I mean, we're not quite at the American stage yet, but I don't think it'll be very long before Reform are probably threatening to
do the same thing. Well, they are. Farage is copying Trump's playbook, and I love this story. An answer to food waste: maggots.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you know those bins you're supposed to collect food waste in.
Yes.
I stopped doing that in the summer because the maggots. I'm sorry, I'm not having it.
No, I agree.
I tried. I'm not doing it.
It is, yeah, because it's so
Disgusting.
hot.
The smell. Ugh.
Because it's so hot, and we have this issue. You keep on top of it as best you can, but as soon as you see a maggot in your food bin,
done.
You're
I'm
just
done.
like,
I'm done. I'm not doing
But
it.
reading this, I mean, it is interesting.
It's a brilliant idea.
They are. It's in France that they're being used to recycle food waste effectively.
The biggest bug farm.
Yeah.
The world's biggest bug farm.
But they are the most disgusting creatures.
Oh, honestly, I've got goosebumps from thinking about them. They just disgust me. So this is the world's biggest bug farm. Roughly 10 billion maggots squirm towards the day they'll be crushed, dried and sold as an alternative form of protein powder.
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you. None of these insects will find their way into your smoothie. They're marketed
Thankfully.
for a more sustainable ingredient for fish feed, livestock feed and pet food, thank God. But yeah, so these maggots eat the food waste, and then the maggots are dried and crushed and used as food.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't have nightmares. Please do sleep well.
I just
thinking of those billions of maggots.
It's the one thing that I can pick up spiders. I can deal with dog poo. I can deal with everything.
Yeah.
Not maggots.
I'm not a fan myself either, but unfortunately in my household I'm the one that's tasked with dealing with them.
Yes, well, so am I in my household, but
go near them.
No. Right, the Sun newspaper. I've got to be very careful how I read this, but it is an Irish word and I'm allowed to say it. Britain's Fecht. Outrage as Father Ted Genius arrested by 5 gun cops over anti-trans tweets. This is Graham Linehan. He's in trouble again. I mean, this isn't the first time for him.
No. Yeah, and so the reference there, if you don't get it, because it's hard to believe now, but Father Ted, which Graham Linehan wrote, or co-wrote, one of the main characters was Father Jack, who swore like a trooper.
He was just drunk the whole time.
So that's where the headline comes from. But yeah, this has caused a huge stir today. On the face of it, it does seem over the top, to put it mildly.
Let's just point out, actually, that at an airport, all cops are armed.
Yeah.
So they didn't send 5 armed cops
No.
to arrest him. I mean, 5 is
Well, 5
too many.
does seem a lot.
Yeah, but the fact that they're making a big play about the fact they're armed, they're all armed.
Yeah, but why did he need to be arrested at the airport?
Well, I mean, because he suggested punching trans women in the cojones.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could read it as an incitement to violence.
You could, and I think that's
if you're a
basically why
purist. I don't
been-
think that.
But it does. Whether or not you think that's should even be a criminal matter, it does seem overkill.
It is overkill.
And
definitely.
we might come into on other front pages that Downing Street, the Prime Minister, has also come out against it. One thing I will say though is that, you know, predictably Nigel Farage has jumped on this because it's a free speech issue. Now, Parliament came back this week. Nigel Farage, of course, being MP for Clacton, is in America this week as Parliament returns, and he will be raising this issue apparently at a free speech hearing. Now,
With JD Vance.
Yeah, it's also worth pointing out that Reform UK, the council, has stopped, Great Free Speech Warriors, has stopped talking to local reporters in Nottingham because they wrote stuff that they weren't very happy with.
Yeah, free speech only goes one way,
So
I find, with people.
It's fine, you can be a free speech warrior, I've no problem with that whatsoever.
I don't have a problem with it.
You have to be consistent.
I get people contacting me and going, oh, you know, you come out against Trump, and I'm going, well, yeah, because that's my view. Well, you shouldn't do that. I'm saying, well, but when you're slagging him off, that's okay. You know, when you're supporting him, sorry, that your free speech is okay. But when I'm not, my free speech isn't, and that. I find the hypocrisy of that. Most free speech warriors only want free speech when it's their free speech.
That they agree with.
That they agree with.
Yeah. So I think, you know, be in favour of free speech.
But I don't agree with this, him being...
No, it does seem...
It's too much.
And it also just plays into the hands of those who think that we live in a police state, which I don't think we do, but things like this certainly don't help.
It doesn't help, and it's too much. It's just like, just show some common sense.
Yeah.
Just be reasonable and commonsensical about it, and it's just crazy to me. But a great front page there.
It's very good.
It's always good to see Father Jack.
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge
One of the
Father Ted
greatest
fan.
characters in the world. And in fact, Father Ted didn't last very long because Father Ted died, didn't he? He had a heart attack,
He did.
quite young.
Yeah, he did. A young man.
Yeah.
He died of a heart attack.
Because that would have run that series.
It would have. But it's one of those things, in a way, it's like Fawlty Towers, it's better that it ended. And The Office, it's better that it ended.
Maybe, yeah. It was
on a high.
I mean, my favourite was all of the priests who accidentally find themselves in
a lingerie department.
In a lingerie
department. Trying to find their way out. Yeah, that was great.
I mean, it was just brilliant.
It was.
It was still makes me cry.
Beautifully observed.
Beautiful.
As a Roman Catholic, I found it absolutely hilarious.
It still makes me cry with laughter when I watch it. It's an absolutely brilliant.
Genius.
You will.
Go on.
Sorry about my appalling Irish accent. Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're still chatting about our favourite Father Ted episodes, and there are many of them. Kevin Schofield is with me in the studio going through the newspapers for Wednesday. Now, this is a front page that will warm the cockles of Tony Blair's old rotten heart. Starmer plans ID cards for all to help stop UK boat migrants. He can absolutely take that ID card. And there are places in this world where the sun doesn't shine, and I'm not talking about Scotland. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This was an idea, a policy that was pushed very hard back in the New Labour years. David Blunkett, when he was Home Secretary, was a huge proponent of ID cards. Now it's been reimagined for the digital age as digital ID cards, being pushed very, very hard initially by Labour backbenchers, now being taken up by senior figures, not least Keir Starmer. Pat McFadden, a Blairite undoubtedly, gave an interview to the Times last week in which he was pushing very hard on digital ID cards. Now, the idea, they say, behind it is, you know, if everyone has to have an ID card for every citizen in the UK, if you're an illegal immigrant, therefore you won't have a digital ID card, therefore in theory you will not be able to get a job.
Because there's no such thing as fakes either. Nobody can fake a digital anything these days.
Oh no, absolutely, it's beyond anyone's.
Do you know what really annoys me is that this was, I predicted this 20 years ago on another radio station. I said they will find a reason that everybody's upset, and they will tell us this is for our safety, and that's exactly what's happening, because that's how they sneak these things in. Well, I do not trust this government or any government with that much information on us. If it's an ID card, digital ID card, they will be able to track us with it. They'll be able to know what we're doing with it. I don't trust them. I never will.
Well, I think that's the problem that they've got, is that public cynicism and trust in politicians has probably never been at a lower ebb than it is now. So it's probably the worst possible time to try and push through this type of policy.
But they're going to say, yeah, but if you have this, we can stop them.
Yeah. Well, that's
and the only thing that it'll stop is them working.
Yeah.
Because once they're in this country, they will be provided with a temporary digital ID saying that they are seeking refuge.
Well, you'll know yourself, when you start a job, you have to provide
a passport.
A passport.
Yeah.
So that surely should be enough to prevent illegal working. We know fine well it's not. So there will always be unscrupulous,
of course there will. There's always
employers
a black market
who don't care about that type of thing.
This is a lie. This is a total scam trying to get us all to accept these on the basis that it'll make you safer. CCTV was the same thing, and all it does is record crimes when they've happened. They don't tend to stop them happening. Yep. So this is an absolute scam. And I remember when Blair was trying to talk this through, and at that time they wanted to put 700 pieces of individual information on each of us on these ID cards. So it's not just your name and your date of birth, it was everything about you. And that's what they were trying to push through. And this is just an opening door. If they say it's digital, but we'll only have your name and your date of birth, that's all we need, that is an open door for them to start adding and adding and adding. And I remember doing a phone-in saying, right, I can't even think of 700 things that people would want, that you could possibly even put on an ID card. But that was what they're talking about, your council references, your, you know, what work you've done, if you paid bills, your CCJs. So that literally every part of your life would be on this one document controlled by the government. No, thank you. That's what China does.
Yeah, and obviously there's the government has got a patchy record at best when it comes to losing data as well, you know. So it's not as if you think,
well, protecting its citizens, not terribly good at that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it says here there is a belief at the top of government that public debate on ID cards has shifted. Well, I'm not sure about that. I'd love to see the polling that backs that up.
Because it's a lie. This is to say, look, you know, if you have an ID, then those pesky, those migrants won't come. It won't stop them. No. That is not the answer. It's not. I don't know. I mean, I can give them a few answers, but they wouldn't like them. But that is not.
I think this is the type of thing that will meet huge resistance.
And rightly so. And I shall be leading on the front. The Telegraph, the Daily Telegraph, a picture of Angela Rayner, the property magnate.
Looking pretty epic, I've got to say.
She's really pushing through, isn't she? She wants to be PM. Back from the beach, it says. She's not very popular at the moment. What's all this about? I've never heard such nonsense about a court order that she can't talk about her tax affairs.
Yeah, I don't follow that one either, really.
What the heck is going on?
But in this picture, I mean, it's a great picture, but it's the sunglasses.
She looks great.
She does, she looks fantastic.
She looks fantastic.
It's on a lot of front pages, and the absolute obsession with Angela Rayner that a lot of the, particularly
she won't
Tory
escape
press
this.
have got.
I mean,
No.
she's put her property in up north into a trust, which is not illegal, but you know that's for her children, so they won't have to pay inheritance tax, presumably. Her flat in Hove was exactly the amount of money that fell under a tax thing, so she only had to pay 40,000 instead of 70,000, or 30,000 instead of 70,000.
She saved £40,000.
She saved 40, yeah. So it just, you know, it's one of those things, is do as I say, not as I do.
Well, yeah, and the problem is that it's the sort of drip of it. It's just, this has been going on for days now. Although I have to say, it says here that the Telegraph discloses today that the Deputy Prime Minister used £162,500 from her share of her constituency house in Greater Manchester to pay for her second home by the seaside. I mean, on the face of it, I don't think that it feels like she's done anything wrong there.
No, I mean, I don't think she's done
of
anything wrong, but it's not about that, it's about perception.
Yeah, and perception is everything in politics.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like the free glasses and the free tickets to, you know, see pop stars. It feels like she's getting something. She's telling us one thing and then benefiting from doing her own thing with it. That's what it feels like, and it's always about perception.
Yeah, it feels like there needs to be some sort of interview with her or something just to get it all out there.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's just.
But it's the MP's expenses thing. Is she can say, I haven't broken. A lot of MPs remember those expenses.
Yeah.
Daily Telegraph, greatest thing they ever did, was that expose. They didn't break the rules, but they were paying for duck houses. So she's not broken any rules.
Yeah.
But she's got these properties. She's benefited from her council house sale. She's tightened those rules for everybody else. It's that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, the level of cut through it has with the general public. You know,
people are cross about it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they are. But there's no doubt though that, you know, come the time that Keir Starmer is forced out as Prime Minister, which may be sooner rather than later next year, and
where my money is,
she will definitely want to throw her hat.
She'll want to clear this up before.
And this type of thing doesn't help. There's no doubt.
No, it really doesn't. But this government, I've never known one worse at communicating with the general public.
Well, that's why again they've gone to this other number 10 reshuffle that they've had this week again. It's the communications department.
It's just mad. As you said on the front page as well, Starmer attacks Met over trans tweet arrest, and the PM, despite his backbenchers, is likely to push through welfare cuts. Good luck with that, Keir.
I read this, and there doesn't seem to be any obvious explanation as to how he's going to do that. When he failed to do it a couple of months ago,
he
was a majority of 165, and he still couldn't get £5 billion of welfare cuts through Parliament. He was defeated by his backbenchers. They had to ditch the entire plan. So I don't see why all of a sudden all these MPs who are
suddenly going to agree
opposed
with
to it are going to say, you know what, go for it.
It's another. He's set up his own landmine there.
Well, yeah, you can't push through welfare. You cannot. We live in a parliamentary democracy. He's not president. He can't just say this must happen.
No.
If he can't get a majority in Parliament for it, then it won't.
It won't happen. This is my favourite story of the day so far. Sir Bob Geldof is considering joining the race to become the next president of Ireland.
Yeah, I'm not sure that a knight of the realm would go down terribly well in Ireland, really.
No, but what a thought.
Well,
I loved the Boomtime Rats when I was a girl. They might be.
Yeah, and he's obviously very political. And
He's such a nice man.
Yeah,
as well.
I've never met him, but I'm led to believe. But I just wonder whether that Sir Bob Geldof might
maybe because he's
work against him. You know, anyone
maybe
that's
he'll just give
taken
that back.
An honour from the British establishment.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll just give that back. I think he'd be a great president. I met him once in a pub, and actually my dog met him because Bob Geldof was eating steak, and Bailey was like, "I'll have a bit of that." So he just wandered over to Bob Geldof and sat there and begged. And Bob was so sweet to him, really, really lovely with him. And I automatically love somebody who's nice to animals. Did give him a little bit.
That's a sign of
he
a
did
good,
look at me and say, "Is it all right?" first, which is a good man.
It will be some race though. Michael Flatley and Conor McGregor apparently going in for it as well.
As long as it's not Conor McGregor.
It's going to be an amazing election
Flatley.
campaign. Right?
Michael Flatley, that would be a great campaign. And finally, Engelbert Humperdinck, why I still won't talk to Tom Jones.
Well, there
the
you go.
best name in the world, Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah, not his real name, unsurprisingly. Apparently got it from a phone book. That's what my dad used to tell me.
I love it. And my dog Humphrey, when he's naughty, he gets Engelbert. He's Engelbert Humperdinck but hey, his name's Humphrey. But it's Engelbert. Stop it. Right, let's take a break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you, with me, Kevin Schofield, and we are looking through the papers, but we've just had some breaking news, Kevin. This has been reported on CNN that more than 30,000 pages of the Epstein records have been released. Democrats on the panel previously said that much of the material turned over by the Justice Department has already been made public. The release comes after the panel received materials from the Justice Department in response to a subpoena. The Department of Justice previously released audio and transcript of its interview with Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. Sorry.
Yeah.
There won't be anything in it. There's hundreds of thousands of pages.
Then no, I don't think so. There won't be anything in it that's incriminating.
But anyway, it's interesting that they've started. Maybe they'll have to continue doing it. There's going to be a vote, isn't there, about it? Now they're back from holidays. That was the vote that they tried to stop.
They closed the Congress down early, sent them all home for the summer to avoid the vote.
Yeah. But it's going to happen, and all they need is 6 Republicans to get it through.
Yeah, but you know they're also terrified of Trump, the Republicans. That might be easier said than done.
But interesting. Somebody will be poring over those now, and there'll be absolutely nothing in them. The Independent, Kevin, a new crackdown could force more refugees onto Channel boats.
Yeah, so this is the Red Cross basically saying, so now that the Home Secretary has announced this crackdown on refugees' family reunion applications, the Red Cross say that families will face harsh choices, either trying to survive during the long wait for safety or potentially risking the alternative, a dangerous journey to the UK. So this may make them more likely to just try. If they think that they're not going to be able to
bring their families over,
the families might just think, well, we've nothing to lose, we might as well just go over on small boats and
because
take our chances.
This is why often people say, all these young men are coming over, but that's because then they get the settled status and then they can safely bring their families over. It's interesting, the idea that then people would just say, look, we'll all go over together then.
Yeah, so it might actually put more people at risk.
Yeah, definitely will.
A lot of unintended consequences.
Yes, well, exactly. And but this is the problem, isn't it, when they're racing to sort of catch up with reform and try and make new policies that perhaps are too quick to be done, and they're not being thought through. So, okay, that's the new Green Party member, leader, former hypnotherapist who has vowed to be the left's answer to Farage.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really fascinating. You know, it's absolutely true. He is going to hope to be to the left of what Farage has done on the right. You know, we've seen, obviously, reform split the right of centre vote. The Conservatives are really suffering as a result of it. And Zach Polanski, as his name is, wants to do the same on the left and sort of eat Labour's lunch, really. And you've also got the Jeremy Corbyn party.
That's definitely going to split. They say the youth vote, that's going to split the
But
youth
they're suggesting that maybe under Zach Polanski, the Greens could form some sort of alliance with Jeremy Corbyn, which could be
the death of them.
A bit, well, it could help be. I mean, as we know, there's one thing that the left are very good at is splits.
Yeah,
so
they are.
It may not end very well.
They are. The Daily Star, what a booby. Take a trance on me. That's a good line. The new Green Party leader is caught in a booby trap of his own making. He has said sorry for giving women breast enlargements by hypnosis. What?
Yeah, that was, that's in his past. I'm not entirely sure how he did it. But
how the heck would you do that?
Well, that's what he used
to...
You
hypnotise women into thinking they got bigger boobs?
Or it gave them bigger boobs, apparently. I don't know. I've got absolutely no idea how. But Labour were very quick. As soon as it came out today that he'd won this Green leadership by a landslide, has to be said, like 80% of the vote, Labour were very quick with a tweet out basically saying this is what he said in the past about how he could give women larger breasts by without the need for surgery. And he says he regrets it now. But I mean, I don't think it'll harm him in any way. But it is embarrassing. I like the fact now as well, also on the front page, that Rachel Reeves has now assumed lettuce status.
The lettuce is back. That means the countdown has begun.
You don't want the Daily Star on your case when it comes to the lettuce.
No, there'll be lettuce watch.
Yeah, it's quite funny that actually, with the very, she's got a very distinctive hairstyle, hasn't she?
You would know that was her, even if...
yeah, you do.
I mean,
straight away.
Yeah, they don't mention her name, but it's brilliant. So she's on lettuce watch, and that is your news with a wink. The worst line ever. Let's have a look at the FT. Centre stage, Kim, Tomi, Xi and Putin. Well, he's arrived now in his train, because his father in this, I think it was 79, went to China on a train. His father travelled by train all the time because he was scared of flying. So now Kim does the same thing, and this train is 90 carriages or something, and it's all armoured, because he's so paranoid about being shot out of the air.
Yeah. I mean, if I had the choice, I would rather travel by train.
I would travel by train. Absolutely, 100%. Not with Kim Jong-un, no.
No, probably not on that train.
Not on that train.
Not on that particular train, but yeah, if I had the choice and I had, infinite wealth like he's got, I would definitely travel by train. And you didn't have to be there quickly.
Yeah, no, it was a really nice journey. Mind you, I suppose you can't see much out of the windows. But he travelled obviously with his daughter, who everybody's calling now is going to be his successor.
Yeah. Oh, that's quite progressive.
Yeah, it is very for
Labour haven't had a female leader.
No, they haven't had a female leader. North Korea.
Labour to a female leader, then that's going to look so bad.
That is going to be so bad. And also beating America as well. OK, so Reeves' leeway shrinks as pound falls and borrowing costs hit a 27-year high. This does not look good for the budget.
No, I mean, this has definitely been a story that's been bubbling away. It hasn't, I've got to admit, hasn't had the coverage it probably deserves. Is that the cost of government borrowing has gone through the roof. Huge.
It's crippling us.
The 30-year gilt yield is effectively the interest rate. that the government has to pay has gone up, and that inevitably hits how much money the Chancellor has to spend, because the government's having to spend so much on servicing the debt, and with the budget coming up in November, that leaves her with very little leeway.
And so it's more taxes for them.
Taxes are going to go up.
What's bubbling away as well is the very real possibility, if not probability, of us having to turn to the IMF. And France is in the same situation. I mean, if we have to go cap in hand to the International Monetary Fund, that is embarrassing.
Oh, utterly humiliating. And
it would devastate our ratings as well.
Well, it would, but also absolutely hold Labour below the waterline. There'd be no coming back from that, because the Tories and Reform would just make hay with that, back to the 70s with Dennis Healey when he had to go to the IMF, when Jim Callaghan was the Prime Minister. Labour never recovered from that. Were that to happen, then that would be just the ultimate humiliation, not least because the government
and also it wouldn't help. We wouldn't be able to borrow money anywhere. We wouldn't be able, because we basically defaulted. That means we're just not a good risk.
No, yeah, it would be economically a joke on the global stage.
Awful. But there's quite a lot of talk about it quietly.
Yeah. No, I think there's almost a lot of worry in the government at how things can spiral out of control quite quickly.
But they can't keep coming to the public for more and more money.
No,
they can't. We just haven't got. We haven't got it.
No, and also having gone through the financial crash in 2008, the pandemic in 2020, we can't borrow either. We can't borrow any anymore. And you're right. What's the other alternative? They've tried spending cuts, completely unpalatable to Labour backbenchers. Tax rises are coming, but they're unpalatable to the electorate. So they're in an absolute nightmare situation.
Really. A nightmare of their own making, really, in some ways. The Metro, again, another glamorous picture of Angela Rayner, up there with those glasses on. And the headline there, Father Ted creators fury at arrest. He does bait the bear, though, doesn't he? In a way.
And he's paid a
hefty price for it.
His career, his marriage, potentially his liberty. I mean,
and he got into trouble before.
And he's, if anything, it's made him more determined, it would appear, to really go for it on this issue.
It's, good for him, and if we believe in freedom of speech, he's free to say anything, providing he doesn't incite violence. Daily Express. 100,000 lives at risk in cancer care lottery.
So this is the Express saying up to 100,000 cancer patients' lives could be in danger by being asked to travel too far for crucial tests and treatment. That's according to Macmillan Cancer Support. They say there's a postcode lottery. I mean, obviously Macmillan know what they're talking about on this issue, obviously, and sadly it is true that your the treatment and the service that you get from the NHS will hugely depend on whereabouts in the country.
And we're lucky in London.
You live, unfortunately, and it's hugely worrying. I mean, that's 100,000 people. It's an awful lot of people.
There's a lot of people, and last week.
And it shouldn't be that where you live determines
really
what type of service you get.
But it was interesting. Last week we covered on this programme a story about the fact that there's a warning as a group of 60 cancer charities that got together as one voice to say that there's going to be an explosion of cancer cases over the next 15 years, 6 million cases, and some of that is from the pandemic, where people weren't treated on time, they weren't seen on time. We always knew that was a bad decision to hold off the rest of healthcare. But then you see this, and we're already slipping behind our European counterparts with cancer survival rates. But the idea that if you live in a small town, somewhere in the Midlands, that you are more likely to die because your cancer hospital's too far away, or there aren't the surgeons there, or there aren't the specialists. That is not where we hoped we would be by now.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, awful. Break. Yes, Sam's looking at me going. Quick break. Back in a second.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
It is Talk, and it's Petrie, and with me, Kevin Schofield, political editor at the Huffington Post UK. I realised I hadn't given you your full title.
That's quite all right.
I was getting too chummy. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
The Daily Mail, you get the privilege of reading this headline.
Oh, I mean, this is a classic Daily Mail front page. I love front pages like this. So it says, another day in Starmer's socialist utopia. Nervy bond market spike again as PM hires raft of high-tax fanatics. Threat of ID cards for all, which we spoke about. Yeah. Hard left Rayner's ambition and fashion sense. The talk of Westminster. And armed police arrest Father Ted Reiter for tweets, leaving millions asking, when did Britain become North Korea? I mean, I'm not sure. It's like so over the top.
I love
it's hilarious. Yeah, I don't think we've become North Korea yet, have we?
I'm not convinced. I mean, if we were, he'd be at Xi's parade tomorrow, wouldn't he?
Would be. He'd be travelling around in a very big train everywhere. That's when we'll know. That's when
we'll know. If they ever finish HS2,
yeah,
he'll have a train.
Yeah,
just
a
goes
mile-long train. But I mean, if Angela Rayner wanted to make a statement, she's certainly done it, because she's on the front page of just about every single newspaper.
Single paper. Yeah, but she does look. I was saying to you in the break, she does. She looks like a posh London lady, and it's probably the sort of person she would hate.
Yeah, perhaps,
because she's her good old northern roots and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think there is a bit of snobbery around as well. It's like, you know, there is definitely. Who does she think she is?
Yeah.
Wearing fancy clothes. I think there's a bit of that.
Fancy clothes.
There's a bit of that.
And rather spectacular sunglasses.
Yeah.
The Guardian. Under 16s face a ban on energy drinks. That'll work.
Yeah, so this was something that Labour put in its manifesto. So this is them keeping a pledge, I suppose. But so under 16s in England, banned from buying energy drinks such as Red Bull and Monster, because they feel obesity cause sleep problems. Well, yeah, I cannot understand that if they're highly caffeinated.
This kind of thing, it just really hacks me off, because it achieves absolutely flap all. It really, if kids want energy drinks, they're going to drink energy drinks. Their parents probably buy them. It's not going to stop anything.
No, and then you run the risk of these things becoming taboo.
Yeah, and then, look.
It makes them more attractive.
Of course it does.
If you were to encourage them to drink them, they probably wouldn't.
They wouldn't. If you say, it's really good for you, you have a drink of that.
Well, I'm not touching that.
Yeah, exactly. Or if your daughters saw you drinking it, they go, oh, God, that's naff.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You want to start drinking Monster.
I've drunk Red Bull with vodka.
Me too.
In the past.
Yeah.
Not for a very long time. I've never drunk Monster in my life, but
no. I don't think
I
I'd
do see
like
a lot
it.
of people drinking it though.
Yeah. Do you know what I found out the other day, which was it's really bugged me, it's really annoyed me, is that if you go and buy beer, bottles of beer,
yeah,
okay, and if you look young enough, which I don't, they ID you.
Yeah.
They ID you if you're buying non-alcoholic beer as well.
Yeah.
Why?
I've had that. Yeah, I don't know why.
That really gets up my flipping nose.
I'm guessing it's because it doesn't look good, does it? And I mean,
it's alcohol free. It's basically water.
It is, but it looks like a beer. You know, there's a bit of a difference in the colour of the label or whatever. But you wouldn't want to see a 7-year-old in the street with a zero Heineken, because it tastes like beer and it looks like beer.
They're really good, actually.
Yeah,
I prefer
they're much
them.
better than
they're really
they used
good
to
now.
Be.
But you shouldn't have to be ID'd.
No, I get it.
But just don't sell them to 7-year-olds.
Yeah, 7-year-old coming for a 4-pack of zero Heineken or whatever.
It's not going to hurt anyone, is it?
Yeah. No, I've had that when you're in the supermarket and you're doing the self-checkout thing, and you put through this alcohol free and it beeps and you have to have somebody come in.
Not that I do it very often.
I can only imagine that's why. I mean, you're right. Theoretically, there is no alcohol in it, but it does look a bit weird if you're a kid drinking.
Yeah.
Drinking it.
The Daily Mirror, Brit drug mule's plea deal. What's this story?
Yeah, so this is a teenager by the name of Bella Cully who is 5 months pregnant and has been held since May in Georgia after marijuana was found in her luggage at Tbilisi airport. She's working on a plea deal, unsurprisingly. Basically, the more of a fine that she pays, the smaller her sentence will be. I mean, so I worked it out, she must have only been 2 months pregnant, very early in her pregnancy when she was arrested. And it doesn't say, certainly not in the front page, it doesn't say relatively, what does that mean? Does it mean her sentence will only be 5 years, or will it only be 2 years, or will it only be 10 years? I don't know how seriously the Georgian authorities
I think it was a big sentence that...
So...
And rightly so.
No, absolutely. You've got... Yeah.
I mean, you know, just because she's pregnant...
No.
You know,
yeah, I agree.
A man wouldn't get away with it.
Definitely not.
Well, he wouldn't be pregnant, but,
But
you know what I mean? That wouldn't be...
Yeah, so, it doesn't explain on the front page exactly how much her sentence will be reduced by and to what level, but presumably if she's 19, it'll fall on her parents to pay this fine.
Oh, they'll do a GoFundMe, won't they?
Well, yeah, but she'll have some serious explaining to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to... Yeah, if they have to sell the house, it'll be like, right.
Geez.
Yeah, no, she got herself into that. She's an adult. She can get herself out of it. Behind the scenes secrets of Downton. Are you a fan of Downton?
No, I've never... and I know I'm in the minority here because it is very popular, isn't it? My mum and dad are
I watched
big
the
fans.
first couple of series, I think, but I'm a commitment phobe on every level of my life, and so if I have to commit to something that is too many series, I can't do it. So I'll watch...
So you watch like a full box set of The Sopranos, for instance?
No. I honestly, I go, well, that's the story told. I'm happy with that. Do I need any more? Is there any more to say? So I tend to get a bit... I like shorter, you know, I like a series, but I don't like lots of series.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I'll watch a series and go, well, that was great. Can it be better?
But you don't want to watch...
I can't commit.
Multiple series of it.
I can't commit.
Really?
Yeah, I can't.
I love it.
So I might watch a Downton film. Actually, I haven't seen the first Downton film, but I might watch that because that's not a series and there's no commitment involved in that. But there's a lot going on. That house, though.
Yeah, take a lot of heat.
Highclere Castle.
Take a lot of heat in that house.
Yeah, and that's Lady Fiona Carnarvon. That's her
I'll
house.
bow to your greater knowledge there.
Well, she must have made a flipping fortune from Downton.
Really?
Well, they would have paid her.
Of course, I could have paid through the nose for that. Yeah.
It would have been a film set.
Yeah.
For, you know, a lot of times.
Running a house
for the
like
external.
That would be very expensive.
Yeah, very, very expensive. So all the external stuff would have been done there. Right, the Times. We've only got about a minute. I think we've covered it, haven't we? A minute a day of incidental activity.
Yeah, so, well, this interested me because...
What is that, getting up from your chair?
Well, no structured exercise. So this was, they studied nearly 3,300 Americans with an average age of 51, that's me next month, and
God, you're a child,
they were asked to wear trackers to log their movements. So this isn't people going out for a jog or anything like that, it's like bounding upstairs, chasing after children, or heaving heavy shopping bags. And that people doing that had a 38% lower risk of dying over the following 6 years.
But who doesn't do that?
Well, I suppose it's people who are really lazy, properly doing nothing. But it's encouraging for people of a certain age.
I'm sorted now for all my...
You don't have to worry about...
That's my healthcare.
Yeah, when you get to 51, I think that's enough exercise.
I think you're allowed to do that. Getting up from the sofa to go to the fridge.
Who's bounding upstairs at that age?
No one.
Who are these lunatics?
No one. No, I did... DIY is my form of exercise, so that's it. Kevin, thank you. Kevin Schofield there, thank you very much indeed for going through the papers. Now, coming up, it's just you and me, and we are going to be talking about why it is that rural Britain is being described as racist. Apparently, because it's 96% white, there is a report that suggests that makes it a racist area, and that people of colour don't like going into the countryside because of it.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. That's very jolly music. It is Petrie here with you for the next hour, and this is your hour. This is all about you and your views, and what I want to, and your stories. And what I want to talk about this morning is this report that has come out saying that rural racism leaves people feeling unwelcome and unsafe in the UK countryside. So this is UK-wide, this isn't just England. Many minority ethnic people feel the British countryside is an unwelcoming and unsafe place to visit. This is according to a new study. The point of which, I don't know. What was the point of this study? People face racial slurs, intimidation and even threats. A research team for University of Leicester found, adding that efforts to address rural racism often provoke anger or defensive reactions. Well, yes, of course we're going to be defensive because nobody likes being called a racist, right? And I think we're getting pretty bored of being called racist in this country as well. I know I certainly am. I don't have a racist bone in my body, and you'll never find anybody who says that I have. So I'm sick of being called that. On this occasion, it is those of you who live out in the countryside. And one of the reports, one of the stats that came back from this report, which I find really bizarre, is the sort of, I don't know what the right word is for it, accusation, right? It's accusatory, this statement. 96% of rural Britain is white. Why is that an accusation? What does that actually even mean? Unless it is just a statistic saying, oh, by the way, 96% of rural Britain is white. It wasn't put like that. Aha! It's 96% of you are white, therefore, that's what it sounds like, and that's what it feels like, this accusation. Now, I am not a person of colour, right? So I really don't have any right to talk about what it's like to suffer from racism. I have no right whatsoever. I have no right to judge people who say that they live with racism, and people do in this country. Everywhere there are people who tragically are racist. So, and by racist I mean that somebody will absolutely hate somebody just because of their skin colour. Now, if I don't like you, I don't care what your skin colour is. if you hack me, no, it literally bothers me not at all, right? So, and that is, I don't know why you would hate somebody just because of their skin colour. I don't understand that. I just don't. I mean, plenty of reasons to hate somebody, plenty of reasons to dislike people, but the skin colour, well, I don't know why that would be even an issue. I genuinely don't understand it. But like I said, I'm not a person of colour. So it would be really interesting to hear your voices on this. I'd love to hear from you if you're a person of colour, and you either can back this report up, or you can say that's absolute nonsense. It's rubbish. And I also want to hear from you if you're one of these terrible 96% white people in the countryside who clearly, according to this report, are racist. It's serious, apparently. Our research uncovered a seriousness of racism in rural areas. Many participants from minoritized ethnic backgrounds also spoke of deep appreciation and connection to the countryside. So I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand why these kind of reports are put together. It may just be because they want some money. I don't know. You know, I think these people who mount these reports are going looking for they have a bias. I don't know, I haven't seen the questions, that may be unfair of me, but it feels to me like a lot of these reports, they've made a decision that the countryside is racist, therefore they seek evidence to back that up. That is incredibly easily done. So I want to hear from you on both sides of this. I'd like to hear from you if you live in the countryside, and if you recognise this, that you've seen this, and maybe if you, like I said, you're a person of colour in this country and you think, no, the countryside's not for me, I'll stay in a city. The countryside's not really for me, but it's nothing to do with any ism. It's just I prefer a city, I prefer a town, I prefer anonymity, I prefer, you know, to be able to wander to the shops without people talking about me. All of that's the world that I choose to live in. But look, if we're being accused of this, and as a Brit I'll say we, because this is collective, I'd like to hear if there's any, even if it's just your personal experience, if there's any sort of evidence to back this up. So do give me a call. Do you believe that the British countryside is a cesspit of racism? Because they're saying this is a really serious issue. The report says there are barriers such as cost. Why is that? Oh, I'm not even going to go there. Fear of discrimination and limited cultural visibility restrict access to the countryside and erode a sense of belonging for many minority ethnic visitors and residents. Is that actually true? I can't speak to it, but is that true? 0344 499 1000. The calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you straight back. And you can send a text as well if you put the word talk, then your message to 87222. Let's go straight to your calls. And Wendy is in Buckinghamshire. Wendy, a very good morning to you.
Hello, Petrie. So lovely to speak to you.
Lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, you've kept me company quite a few times, early hours of the morning when I couldn't sleep. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for keeping me company.
I couldn't speak to you. Yeah, we've actually just got back from Cornwall today.
Lovely.
And we're in Buckinghamshire, so not far from Oxford. So very, very multicultural. For example, I've just been to a local supermarket when I got back, and I'm white British, but I'm a minority in my town now. Don't have an issue with that whatsoever. I'm just kind of saying, you know,
it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
How it is, yeah. I am married to a wonderful black man who is Jamaican heritage. Was born here, but mum and dad obviously from Jamaica in the West Indies. We have 6 beautiful children together.
6?
Obviously 6. Yeah.
6? Are you insane?
Yeah, that's probably why I don't sleep.
Yeah, that is definitely why you don't sleep.
Yeah, I'm trying to get all my housework done before they all wake up tomorrow. Yeah, and obviously, I mean, you know, mixed race, dual heritage, I don't even know what we're supposed to call them anymore. I mean, it's crazy because their godmother calls them her little chocolate buttons and always has done. Do you know what I mean? And you know, they don't have an issue with that. They're very grounded, you know, wonderful children. They accept everybody, and yeah, and it's really. So we went to Cornwall 2 years ago, and when my husband obviously comes to family weddings and things on my side of the family, he's generally, you know, we joke, he's generally the only black man there. Obviously, when we go to functions and things on his side, it's obviously very mixed. When we went to Cornwall 2 years ago, we went to Newquay,
Lovely.
Didn't really notice. Yeah, Perranporth area, kind of Newquay, was wonderful. We had a great time. Kids loved it and wanted to go back. This time we decided, so when we went to Newquay, we didn't really notice any kind of different. It was just very multicultural. Didn't have any issues or anything. This time we decided to go much more rural, so kind of went as far down as you can go, kind of Lizard and kind of Penzance, which was beautiful. We were in the middle of nowhere, which was amazing. But it was really interesting that he was a minority, and it actually felt like how do I say this without, because I don't want to label, because it may just be our experience, and I don't think it's racism whatsoever. I just think there was a different feel. So in the shops and things like that,
look, you have to become hyper aware, right? I guess that if you are a person of colour, you perhaps become a little bit more hyper aware.
Not hostility. It was more kind of, I just feel like it's not racism. I feel, we did joke and so I don't think they like tourists here.
It could be that, actually.
but I do think it's just that they are not as multicultural. They're very kind of old English, old traditional. They're still kind of almost stuck in, not the Stone Ages. Do you know what I mean?
No, I absolutely understand that.
And it's much more rural and just not as multicultural. And I think that's, if I wasn't as sinister about kind of the way that the government are, I mean, I would think it's just a traditional thing that they just don't have that, the multiculture that other areas do, more built up areas. I mean, I don't agree with the report at all. I just think it creates more diversity between society, and it kind of suppresses the white British again and elevates everybody else. And I always think there's a second agenda going on with the government at the moment anyway, so I'm super suspicious. But I think there is a different feel, more rural, but I don't think it's racism. I think it is literally just they just don't mix. They're just not used to that. They're just not.
Racism is an active hatred of different, and it's definitely not that. Look, if you get stares and if you get people looking, maybe it's just curiosity. They're not used to seeing, I don't know what we calling your kids.
Gorgeous children.
Gorgeous chocolate buttons. Maybe they're just curious. They're not used to seeing mixed families. They're just curious. I don't know.
That's the other thing.
It's
we
not
never know
hatred,
is it? Because we've got a football team. Do you know what I mean? That could be the reason, rather than my husband's colour. But
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, isn't it? That it's about perception. There was a line that I read in this report where it says that what is it? People face. Hang on. When people look at them strangely, it's like people of colour get upset because they're stared at. Well, you don't know they're staring at you with hate, right? Which
Absolutely.
is what again. It could be curiosity. They don't see many people of colour. They're and a mixed family and 6 kids.
Well, a lot of the time though, like if people do stare, generally it's like they'll say something like, "Oh gosh, your daughter's hair, all the curls and the ringlets," and it's not always a negative thing that they're looking at. But my husband's never felt that he was being stared at, or I think it was just, it is just, you notice it when you go to a rural, I'm not talking about colour, but you notice the difference. So to me as a white British person, I noticed the difference because, a few times I kind of nipped into a shop and I was on my own, a white British person. I wasn't with my mixed race children or my black husband, so nothing to do with colour, but I noticed the difference in kind of, maybe the touristy kind of thing being a bit more rural. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not as not used, like when we went to Newquay and that, it was much more commercialised and they were very geared up for tourists, and where we went it was much, much more rural. So we were kind of, you know, with the locals almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's so irrelevant, the colour of someone's skin, and it's such an irrelevant report. It's all just been created to
cause more separation, to cause more. And I tell you what, you want to feel hatred, right? And this was some years ago, but in the very northern Wales, in some of the very, very remote areas in the north of Wales, being an English person, well, you will get treated very badly, whatever your skin colour is, you know, because again, I mean, that is a battle that the Welsh used to set fire to British people's cottages, if you remember back in the, I think it was the 70s. So, you know, and I've travelled around Wales. I love Wales and I love the Welsh people. They're hilariously funny. But in the very rural areas, you go into a shop and you will be, you're English, and they can tell straight away you're English, and they hate you.
The difference.
Yeah. So it's got for me, it was like, okay, now I get it. You know, fine.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with skin colour.
Exactly. Yeah, I just think it's such a, it's just been put out there just to create more diversity, and
Yeah, I don't know why though. Why, you know, what is the point of a report like this? You know, what does it achieve, really?
It is just trying to suppress the white British and just elevate everybody else, and
Well, and it's also that whole accusation, 96% of you are white. It's like, and why is that? What? What are you trying to say here? Is that a problem? I don't understand.
Yeah, but I'm not. But as a white British person, I've gone into my local supermarket tonight, but I'm not allowed to say that I feel a minority and that I feel that.
And that's crazy, because it swings and roundabouts.
People are being racist towards me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I do think it is possible to be racist if you're of a different skin colour. Of course it is.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So listen, Wendy, what age are your kids?
Oh gosh, so
you've got to remember now.
Yeah, that's so hard. I got 20, 18, 16, 14, 10, and nearly 8.
See a bit of a pattern there with the breaks in the ages.
Yeah. We would have carried on, but our youngest was born at 30 weeks, so yeah.
Oh, blimey. And you wanted more?
I would have carried on, but he's got cerebral palsy, our youngest.
Bless. So that's a lot of work, right?
Yeah. He's adorable, but he is hard work, bless him. Yeah, he takes a lot of our time, but they're all a joy. So
that's 6 kids. I'm one of there was originally 6. We lost one of my siblings, but so I was originally one of 6. Chaos.
Yeah, it's nice chaos. We love it. It's great.
I still think you're a little bit bonkers, Wendy. I'm just going to say that. Lots of love to you and your family. Thank you so much for calling. Please do call again. We'll just have a chat, right? If you can't sleep, just give me a call. Be lovely. There's Wendy there in Buckinghamshire. Yeah, what she experienced there is really interesting, isn't it? That it's in the perception of it. It may be, and she and her husband and her kids felt that it was a little bit different, but didn't immediately think it's racism. So I wonder if it's the perception of it rather than, I don't know, you're going to have to tell me. You're going to have to call me. I'm lost on this one. 0344 499 1000.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. It's Petrie, and we are discussing rural racism. Because apparently you lot in the countryside, not very welcoming, apparently. I don't see reports like this actually annoy me, and because you can't see a reason for even doing them in the first place. And I don't know what that's meant to achieve, and that really frustrates me quite a lot. And just that sort of accusation of you know, rural Britain being largely white, 96% white, as if that's wrong, as if that's a bad thing. And being white does not make you racist. Are there white racists? Yes, absolutely. I think there are racists of every single hue and colour. But it being white inherently does not make you a racist, and I am really bored of being accused of such a thing. Like, if you want the grooming gangs to be examined properly with an inquiry, apparently that makes you, you know, speaking for the far right. Yeah, I think we're all getting tired of that. I think on the whole, I genuinely believe we are a good and welcoming country. I do believe that. And we have hotspots of problems. We have people who are racist, and racism is specific, right? It's the visceral sort of the hatred of somebody just because of their skin colour, not because of what they've done, not because of what they're doing, not because of even just walking down the street. You go, I hate that person because they're black, or I hate that person because they're brown. That's racism. And I'm not sure that what we're seeing in the countryside is that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I am wrong, I'm very happy to suck it up. Give me a call. 0344 499 1000. A couple of messages and then back to your calls. I work in construction. Construction. I'm a handyman. I read that first of all as a handsome man, but anyway, handyman. And my labourer, Sammy, is black. We do loads of work in the countryside, fences, patios, etc. Sammy is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, and everyone falls in love with him. They don't give his skin colour a second look. Why are people trying to divide us? If you have an agenda, it's your problem, not the majority of British people, who are the least racist people of any country in the world. Leave us alone. And that's from Ernie. And I back that. I back that statement 100%, but I am not of colour. So you know, maybe we're seeing what we want to see. I don't know, and that's why I'm opening the phone lines to somebody who can call me and say, yes, you know, the countryside is inherently racist. It is racist, because I believe what Ernie believes. But then, I mean, I don't know if what skin colour Ernie has, but you know, if you're white, then maybe we see it because we're not racist. We tend to believe that everybody's not racist. I don't know. I mean, it's very difficult, isn't it? Gordon has sent me a message here. This is a good message as well. I lived and worked in many rural areas during my time in the military, and did indeed find the local people to be quite guarded. See, that's a different thing altogether, isn't it? In my experience, I found that the way of life of a local is one that should be protected. And what really struck home to me, when being based in North Yorkshire and Sussex, these people are very hardworking, proud and very patriotic. All they want is to protect what they have toiled for generations. I was posted to North Yorkshire from Lancashire, and the first thing they said to me in the local pub was, show us your passport. That was circa 1987-ish. God save the king. Yeah, I mean, and maybe people are misunderstanding that, right? But like I said, as a white person, I can't really speak to this, but maybe people are, because there are areas, you know, small villages, hamlets or whatever, where people will be guarded of strangers of any skin colour. You know, you go into a local, I've been into many sort of very out of the way locals, and people stare at you. People look at, who's that? What's she doing in here? Why is she here? What's going on? So, but it's, obviously not racism, but you still feel a little bit awkward because they will turn around and have a good look and then have a little gossip. But maybe that's what this report is seeing. But like I said, I don't know. Grace is in London. Hello, Grace.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very blessed, thank you. How are you?
Good, very well, thank you. Yeah, not bad. So what do you think?
Oh, so many things. I think there's part of me that feels, from a Christian perspective, I'm not really interested in spending quite as long as, I don't mean you generally, but as some other people might do, on saying, we're a great country, we're great people. Actually, yeah, I think maybe
we're a mixed bag. Yeah,
I feel like Britain's maybe more tolerant than some other places, indeed. But I also feel like the human heart actually does have problems wherever we are, and so we don't necessarily need to just say we're great, we're proud of ourselves. Actually, let's think about where there are problems. Having said that, I think that, as you have said, reports like this probably do just stoke division and aren't necessarily hugely helpful, because there's so much complexity and nuance in human interactions, and as you said, there's a way in which some people might be surprised to see someone that they aren't familiar with, and that's not the same as hatred in itself. There's so much complexity to this issue that you can't really capture it in the headlines that will result from a university study. It might be the case that were we to read the report, we would actually find some incidents that really are racist and concerning. But when you're going to try to get a report across to the general public in some news coverage, and that's what the people at the university will have known will happen with this report, it doesn't really make for anything that's particularly helpful.
I agree.
I think, if we're interacting with people of colour ourselves, we should listen to their experiences and understand that they may have been led by a number of things to feel unwelcome in ways that we as white people might not have personally experienced. But you can't capture that in something like this. So I kind of think, again, what is the point in this study? It's probably just going to add to division. One thing it will do is it will make some people who genuinely are a bit racist feel all the more, the world's gone mad. Why are we being told that we're all racist? Yeah. And they'll become less willing to listen.
And more empowered. And more empowered in their belief. Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, the nuance of feeling uncomfortable, and like I've said this from the beginning, I am slightly uncomfortable saying this as a white person. Of course, I've never experienced that. And I can't speak to other people's experiences, but I've certainly had experiences, like I said, in countryside areas where people might be a bit suspicious of me, or a little bit, because I'm a stranger, I'm an outsider, I'm a Londoner, or whatever it is. But there are very, I read that as them being afraid of me as a stranger, whereas somebody who has a different skin colour could read the same behaviour as being racist. Do you see what I mean? So it's in the perception of behaviour as well. And from the point of view, you're looking at it yourself.
It could be that a person imagines another person daring to be motivated by racism, and is not actually motivated by racism. But the reason the first person is presuming it to be motivated by racism may be that they have experienced other things that have been traumatizing for them, or it might be that they have seen lots of news headlines like this saying people in the countryside are racist.
And therefore, so that microaggression that they see, or that micro fear that they see, is in fact not racism, and is something else entirely.
It's so complex.
It is complex.
It should be the case that if a person has experienced racism, that other people are sympathetic and are willing to consider that situation. But I also feel very strongly that there is not at all enough attention given to the people in this world, in the continent with the most melanin. On average, the people in the continent with the most melanin are the most likely to be disadvantaged, and Africa is hugely varied. There are some people who are really thriving. There's a lot of ingenuity, but there are some parts of the continent which have been left in a mess because of the history of colonialism, and that's not to say that we're all to blame and everything like that, but it has left behind situations where some of the most greedy and corrupt individuals have taken political power. It has left behind some underdevelopment in some areas that mean that some people don't have infrastructure that we're all born with and take for granted. So there are some people in parts of that continent who are very, very disadvantaged through no fault of their own, and they get almost no attention. And people here on a certain part of the political spectrum will go on and on and on about one place in our world where people are starving, and we should be very concerned about Gaza. It's horrific. But I don't understand why people hardly ever talk about the fact that there are some people in some parts of Africa and some parts of Southern Asia who are in dire poverty through no fault of their own, and we just ignore them. And
I can tell you exactly what that is. It's called compassion fatigue.
I don't think it's just compassion fatigue.
I think it's because those problems have been going on, you know, for as long as I can remember. And, you know, all the appeals and things when we were kids and all of that and on and on. And people, not me, but people get bored of the same issues returning again and again and again. And I think that would answer your question. Not that I think it's right, but I believe that's the case. It's like the rainforest. People go, well, I thought we saved the rainforest. I thought we did that.
I know that it's partly that, but I don't think that that's all that it is. And again, it's not just people in the middle. It's also that people on the left will talk and talk and talk about Gaza. And I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about Gaza. I'm just comparing it to other places where human beings are in just as much need as people in Gaza. And I think it's partly that we do have a subconscious preference for people who are of our ethnicity, and that has been proven with research. And I think that
it was proven with Ukrainian refugees.
Yeah, so I think that some people, even on the left, they don't think as much about people who are starving in Africa as people who are starving in Gaza, because they don't identify as much with people who've got so much more melanin than they do.
I also think that they don't get huge props, politically speaking, either, because it's not on the front pages and it's not, you know, it's not the big story. And I'm afraid, being cynical,
it's a two-way thing though with the front pages, because people talk about things that are on the front pages, and then people put on the front pages things that people are talking about. But
yes, absolutely. But if they're not talking about it, then it doesn't make it, and then the politicians concern themselves with what is on the front pages, which is the wrong way to run a country, in my view, and it's the wrong way to run humanity as well. Grace, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. A great call. I'm going to take a quick break, but I will be back in just a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. It's Petrie here with you on Talk, and we are talking about rural racism, leaving people feeling unwelcome and unsafe in the UK countryside. It feels to me like that is a sweeping statement. But I need to hear from you, because I don't live in the countryside. I haven't done for a very long time. Anthony sent me this. He says, you brought a memory back to me when you mentioned North Wales. We went on a holiday in a really rural place where there was a little village, only had one shop, a pub, and that was it. One night we decided to go for a drink, and all the locals were talking away. When we walked in, they all shut up, and the looks we got was a feeling I will never forget. Even the landlord didn't want to serve us. That, to me, was racist. Well, you know, yeah, I mean, the thing with me is when you go into one of those old-fashioned pubs in North Wales, the indication that they really don't like you is when they all start speaking Welsh, and so you can't understand them, and you know they're talking about you. But look, it's very rare. I mean, I worked on for BBC Wales. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and my Welsh colleagues and the Welsh callers just wonderful, but great. I mean, honestly, the best sense of humour, really good at taking the mick out of themselves. So, Anthony, thank you. Ian has said, though, I'm Welsh. When I moved to England, I heard every Welsh joke for months on end. It was tedious. Yeah, when I moved to Wales, I heard every English joke for months on end. But we all have to laugh at ourselves, right? You know, with the same country. It's just, I don't know. Look, there's prejudices across all of the British nations, and there are stereotypes, and there are, you know, the whole Welsh thing with the sheep, and, you know, whose coat is that jacket? One of my favourites, you know, all of those things, and they're equally between the Scottish and the English, and the Scottish and the Welsh, and the Irish and the everybody, and the English to the... So we've all got these tropes, if you like, about us, because we are quite separate nations, and I love that for us. I love that about us. I love the differences, even in this tiny island that we live on. I love the fact that the Scottish are Scottish, and the Welsh are Welsh, and the Irish are Irish, and the English are... I love that. I think it's great that we have those differences, but we're fundamentally from the same country. I just think it's brilliant, and the way we can take the mick out of each other, I just adore it. I think it's great. Right, I'm going to go to the calls now, and Ali has called from West Yorkshire. Hello, Ali, how are you?
Hi, Petrie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's always good to hear from you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. So, like, my thing was about the racism in the countryside. But first, I just wanted to come back on that, what your last caller said about not caring about what's going on in other countries. So, like, for example, she was saying people on the left, which I think of myself, I am on the left, we care about Gaza and nothing else. The reason why we care so much about Gaza is because the mainstream political, the establishment corporations, the media, they don't care about Palestine. That's why they support Israel. So hence why we are more animated in our support for Gaza. It's not like we don't care about anyone else. I don't. That's wrong. That.
Okay. I mean, look, I think that there are mainstream media that talk both sides. It's just really difficult because obviously the press, journalists are not really allowed into Gaza, and those that are there, many of them have been killed. So we're not getting all of the stories out
and also
that should be coming out.
The editors of the Western news channels, they're all linked to Israel. They've got links to the IDF, so hence why they're going to have a pro-Israel narrative.
I don't recognise that. I have to say that I don't recognise that all the editors in westernised media have got links to Israel. That I don't.
Mainstream.
Well, but what do you mean by mainstream?
Like the CNN, BBC, Sky News, that sort of thing.
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree that they have links to Israel and the IDF. We're going to have to disagree here, but you know, I will never stop you from saying what you want to say. I'm just going to say I'm going to disagree with you on that. But listen, Ali, let's get back to the point about the British countryside. Is it inherently racist?
No, I don't. Yeah, so about this report, I don't agree with it at all. I think it's quite ridiculous that, like, the countryside is not racist. So there are racist people that live there, but there's racist people that live in cities and, like, different in other countries.
Absolutely.
As well. So of all, every person of every race is racist. Do you know what I mean?
Has the potential to be racist. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So it's not a thing, but
I get annoyed when people say no, only white people are racist. So it's only possible.
No,
some people
totally
believe
wrong,
it's only possible to be racist if you're a white person, but I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, that's totally wrong. No. But like, I would say, like, I myself, I'm not really a massive countryside fan. Like, we as a family tend to go more to the coast. So,
yeah.
And even there, I would say it's not racism. We do get looks. Like, for example, when I go with my family, go with my sister or my mom, they'll get looks. Especially my mum, because she wears a hijab. My sister doesn't. But like, it's not visceral hatred. Like, it's not racism. It's just they're just looking because obviously there's probably something they don't see every day. So like, for example, in Scarborough, for example, that's where we go. So they're obviously not going to see that every day. So it's not racism. Yeah. It's just intrigue, I would say.
I agree. See, I agree with that. But could it be perceived as that? You know, if you're, you know, fairly sensitive to that, or you've been racially abused before, and you see somebody look at you sideways, maybe it's interpreted as that, and people think, oh, they're looking at me strangely, therefore they must hate me, rather than they're looking at me strangely because I'm a stranger.
Yeah, I think it's that what you said earlier about. I think it's more that the outsider sort of, the local people are against someone from the outside coming in, even if it's a tourist or anything like that. I think that's more the issue, and it could be perceived as racism if it's towards non-white people.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. That's really interesting. But you don't feel like you can't go to the countryside because it's a dangerous. Because they're saying that this report says that people feel unsafe going to the countryside.
No, I don't agree. I think that's a massive exaggeration. Like, I don't agree with that. But I would just say the point. I think someone yourself or someone's made the point. I do believe this country, compared to most countries around the world, is the least like racist or intolerant places. I definitely agree with that 100%.
I mean, that is good to hear from somebody, you know, who is not white, right? I mean, because most of us just want to, live our lives, right? And we all just want to get on. So that's nice to hear. That really is good to hear, Ali, and thank you for saying it. I know that'll be appreciated by a lot of people that are listening. So Ali there in West Yorkshire, so thank you very much indeed for that. I'm going to take a quick break here, but I will be back to talk to Brian in just a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie, and we're talking about rural racism. But there was another story I wanted to bring to your attention this morning before I get to the phones, while we're talking about regions of this country. The funniest region in the UK is Merseyside. Merseyside is officially the Mecca of comedy, boasting the most comedians per 1 million people. As the nation's nicest people, I wouldn't argue with that, as the nation's nicest people, Liverpudlians sure know how to laugh, making it the funniest region in the UK. The least funny? North Yorkshire. Not funny. London is the second funniest, then Greater Manchester, then the west of England, East Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire is fifth, Gloucestershire and Wiltshire is sixth, Surrey, East and West Sussex seventh, West Midlands eighth, and Berkshire, Buckinghamshire and Oxfordshire ninth. So there you go, Merseyside, the funniest place in the country, and as the nicest people, Liverpudlians. So there you go. Go to Liverpool. I've never been to Liverpool. I've got to go to Liverpool. Got to go to Liverpool. Right, we're talking about racism in the British countryside, and I'm perplexed as to why this report was done. I always try to look at things as to, you know, what is the benefit of this? What do they want to achieve by putting out a report like this? Many minority ethnic people feel the British countryside is an unwelcoming and unsafe space. I mean, look, there's lots of places in the countryside where I'll be treated like an oddity. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that's it or what it is. But Brian in Whitley Bay has an answer. Brian, good morning.
Hi, Petrie. Good morning. First of all, I think that report is kind of rubbish. I don't agree with it whatsoever at all. In the countryside, in my opinion, there can be a little bit of prejudice, snootiness and snobbery. I mean, for example, if I go up to Northumberland, up to somewhere like Otterburn or Bamborough, further out from where I live, you go to a small place like Amble in Northumberland, into the village, and that, people are going to look at you and think, you're not from around here, you're a townie or whatever. I mean, they can tell by, even though the accent's a little bit similar, they can definitely tell that you're not local, and they do kind of kind of look upon you as like, you know, being a bit of a commoner, if you want, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's absolutely true, you know, if you go to like these like countryside where they've all got like really, like, because a lot of detached houses up there. I mean, and you would say, I would say Amble, and that part of Northumberland, you know, Almouth. It's you know, it's really like posh. I mean, so they can tell, you know what I mean. It's more like country life. And I tell you,
they can smell townie. They can smell it on us. We walk a bit faster. We're usually on a phone. They can tell. We stand out like a sore thumb. Townies
yeah,
do.
I just think there's a bit of snobbery involved. I'll tell you one of the most weird experience I've ever had in my life. Me and my uncle back in 1990 travelled down to, I think it must have been Sidcup, where Borley Rectory was, because we're trying to find out more about Harry Price, you know, the investigator and the psychic phenomena. So we went to the village, and we went to this local pub and stuff, and because we had a camper van, my uncle, someone was talking to us in the pub, like a landlady and that, and said, where are you staying? And we all got a camper van, and this fella in the corner, like an oldish man at the time, he called we like a pair of queers, but he must have meant like queer as in like queer types. I mean, but my uncle said, listen, if you put your glasses on, mate, have a closer look, Bonnie lad, you can tell that him and me are both related. We're uncle and nephew, if you must want to know. I mean, but it was really funny because obviously people kind of like, oh my God, we're getting invaded by a bunch of
Oh
Geordies
yeah,
or
two
whatever.
men sharing a camper van. That is definitely odd, isn't it? I suppose.
oh, that's
But there
what they
will
must
be
have
that
thought.
as well in the countryside, of course.
Yeah, They must have thought, yeah, and then my uncle just said, if you look closely at us, I mean, put your glass on, you can see we're both related, because, you know, it was my dad's brother and everything, so obviously I look like me dad's brother, you know, as well. But, yeah, I mean, like, what a good time in the end. I mean, the lady behind, one of the barmaids who was there, she was more like, do you know, like somebody out of a... like a librarian type of person / Sunday school teacher with a big pair of glasses on, and she looked like that type of person. And she was really friendly and everything helpful towards us. Tell me all about how it was burnt down and everything, and said the church is still there and that. And we took some photographs of the church and everything, and she told all about Harry Price and everything. So it was well worth going down on a visit. But we did feel a little bit... you know, like being like outsiders, we felt as if we shouldn't be there.
And I love that expression, that there's a difference between racism and prejudice, and there really absolutely is, because racism is a really sinister hatred of somebody for the colour of their skin. That's it, right? But whatever, they could be the nicest person in the world, the sweetest person, but you hate them just because of their skin colour. Yeah. So that is different to having a prejudice, or having, you know, like you said, people who treat you a bit differently because you don't come from the area, your accent's a bit different, you're not a local. They can tell, they can, you know, even if they don't know everybody that lives in the village or the town, they can tell that you're...
Yeah, you can hear people whispering in the pub, that whispering about, you know what I mean, but you don't know what thing they do. You don't want to come there causing trouble. I would just sat there and just chatted on like with the people who were like friendly towards and that. But
once they know that you haven't got two heads and you're not going to mug them, you know, you're fine. But that isn't about skin colour. That's just about, you know, very protected communities who all know each other, they all know each other's business, they all know what's going on, and that's the way they choose to live. It's not the way I could ever live, but that's what how they choose to live. So if somebody walks into that, it's like somebody walking into your house, you go, well, what are you doing here? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I mean, if I went to London, right, and I'll be honest with you, if I was on the London Underground, and it was like 6 skinheads with like Doc Marten boots on and like flying chucks or whatever, they're still around. I mean, I'd be pretty, white guys with skinheads, I'd be pretty scared if there's a bunch of them sitting on the, you know, they're probably nice guys, I don't know, but if there was 5 or 6 of them all sitting together, and I got on the London Underground, I'm going to get my head kicked in the ass.
Yeah, it's because it's it's different to what you know. It's different to how you live. It's like, you know, if a gay couple did go into a village where they've never seen 2 men holding hands, or lesbians, 2 women holding hands, if they've never seen that before, that's going to be an oddity. But you know, the more that you see that, the less of an oddity it is, and there will be people from the countryside who come to London and see things and behaviours and go, oh my God, this is really weird. But for us, it's just every day, right? It's just it's what you get used to.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, for the countryside is open to everybody. I mean, like, I know I've been up to Northumberland and around the Durham area, and I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a black person around, or, you know, somebody else because I don't know whether they're afraid to come out or whatever, but you never see anybody like going over fells and stuff, do you know what I mean, or you know, going through, you know, you never, if I go to a country pub, it's obviously always locals, do you know what I mean? It's like, you know,
and I mean, maybe there is you know, not a problem, but maybe there is people don't want to go to the countryside, but I'd hate to think that they didn't go to the countryside because they thought they were going to be racially abused, because I don't believe that of my fellow Brits. I just don't. I know we've got some people in this country who are racist. It'd be stupid of me not to think that, and unfortunately they're growing in number. But I don't believe that's who we are. I don't believe that. Finally, very quickly, Tristan, because we're running out of time. Good morning to you.
Morning. I just wanted to say that I've experienced prejudice and I've experienced racism. I've experienced prejudice when I've been to when I've been to rural parts of Wales, because my name is Tristan and it is actually Welsh. And when you actually speak in normal English, they look at you like you've got 2 heads. And then I've had people
in some areas, the very old-fashioned areas of Wales. Yeah,
so I have had that, and then when I lived in America and I spent time in Detroit, I experienced racism. Not actually they said it to me, but I just felt like I am not welcome here. And I've also experienced it when I played basketball as well, because obviously I'm white, and you know, you're sort of seen as a little bit odd.
But is that? I mean, is that racism or is that prejudice or racism is a very strong term. We throw it around like it's nothing.
The thing is, when people call you white wigger and they start taking the mick and saying white men can't jump and things like that, and they come into your space when you're taking a shot and they do it on purpose, you know that you don't feel comfortable, and you know, and it becomes sort of initiation, to be honest, and you sort of just think, okay, well, this is just how it is. And the thing is, you can either cry and get upset and walk off or throw a fit, or you can just go, okay, well, this is just how it is. I'm just going to push through this. And the thing is, with this kind of report, I think they look for people to be offended. So then it causes, obviously, all this hoo-ha and all of this sort of situation that you've got at the moment.
I agree.